Mexico Gold and Silver. Right now, not only is Goldco offering a free gold and silver kit, but on quality.
Crossover. Oh, killer crossover.
Just crossover. It just crossed him over nastily. Another victim to the crossovers. Cross him up and sit him down.
Crossover powered by Everlevel Concrete Repair in Omaha at everlevelconcrete.com. Matt McMaster. Hey, you like me driving the show last 2 hours? How about that, eh?
I wasn't able to catch any of it.
Wow. It's almost like that's what they pay me to do.
So
deserves a beer.
It's 10 o'clock.
Hey!
Yeah, this guy doesn't care.
10 in the morning.
Wipe that foam off of that microphone. There you go. You got some on your computer, too.
Yeah, it's okay. It's been through worse.
Okay. So last night,
yeah, rough.
Okay.
Rough.
You've had to answer some questions this morning.
And Sean Kelly and everybody on Twitter who dragged me through the mud, you included.
Yes.
I took it like a champ. All right.
You can't say that. You have to have other people say that you took it like a champ.
I took it like a champ.
That's other people's decision if you took it like a champ.
It was tough. I will say this. I won't concede
that
I wasn't entirely wrong.
Yes, you were.
Wait. I wasn't entirely wrong in the fact that I still really don't believe in Notre Dame's offense. But
sure,
what I did not
for 90 yards.
Yeah, and they got outgained by Georgia. Look, but I will admit this. I was horribly wrong in the fact that I underestimated how good of a coach Marcus Freeman is.
Yeah.
I totally I thought he was more of like
I think you looked at the talent as most people do, and they say, well, this seems like a mismatch.
Yeah.
But it's not.
No.
Because
he's recruited really well.
Here's the thing about Georgia, and we're going to talk about this during the show today. I mean, that is one of the more, and all of the stuff that comes out about now they unfortunately have to begin the off season, which means they have to start driving cars and stuff like that again. So that is one of the more undisciplined teams at that level.
Can we talk about this?
Bad deal.
I will never get over this. It's 4th and 2 on the 28-yard line. Why in the hell would Notre Dame snap that ball? If you're Georgia and you're on that line, you're like,
don't move.
Don't move. Yep. They're not going to snap this ball.
But they had a plan. They knew exactly, we're going to hit the clap with 2 and then if they jump, we're going to throw it downfield.
Exactly. And it's like, why would Notre Dame think in your head, why would Notre Dame do that? They would have given you the ball in the 28, all the momentum in the world to go and score. Now it's a game. Yeah. Right?
They weren't going to do that.
They jumped offside. It was embarrassing. I think
fumbles.
I'm not going to overreact and say that the SEC is dead or anything.
You got the guy who ran into the ref.
I felt bad for him though. I felt bad.
He got he would that would not have affected the outcome of the game. It did not affect the outcome of the game.
It's a 15-yard penalty. They still were on the 30-yard line. They had ample opportunity to score. There were plays after that, and yet with 2 minutes left in the fourth quarter, while I'm leaving from watching the game, I couldn't hear, the volume wasn't on, but I see the camera zoom in on the poor guy.
They showed him after the game ended too.
In the fourth quarter. That had nothing to do with that at all.
Not really. No.
It was embarrassing. ESPN's been on a historical run of just embarrassing themselves. Almost as bad as me in terms of my takes and my hatred for Notre Dame. They've been on an almost as bad as Matt McMaster take run.
Wow. That's bad.
It's been 3. I'll never forget when you were talking. It was the first crossover when I got introduced on Thursday.
Okay.
And I think you were talking to Gary.
Mm-hmm.
And you were like, I cannot wait until Matt McMaster comes on this radio station and says something that's just completely wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And that'll be like right away.
Mm-hmm.
And it'll be
what a prediction.
And it'll be incredible. That might be the best take of 2024.
Yeah.
That might be up there.
And on a high note.
You did a great job. But no, so I have an official announcement here.
Oh.
No air mattress.
You bought a bed.
I'm buying a bed today.
Look at that. You made the right choice.
I've kind of just decided, you know what?
We did it, everyone.
Welcome to the large family of people with beds.
I do have the money. I'm just going to.
It's a brotherhood.
I'm going to Nebraska Furniture Store.
Mart.
NFM,
as they now call it.
And I'm going to walk in and it'll be like, fine, sir. Give me the cheapest setup you got. Give me the cheapest mattress plus bed that you can give me, full size.
Here's what's going to happen.
Full size bed.
You're going to go in there, and I believe you have to go down an escalator. You walk on the main floor, and you have to go down an escalator to get to the bed world.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and it's a whole new world down there.
That's right.
And so you're going to walk into bed corner of bed world.
Sure.
And they're going to ask you about what you need.
Yeah.
And you're going to say what? You're going to say, I want, something. My price range is less than everything that you have here, right? You're going to say that. And then they're probably going to convince you that it's a good idea to, maybe get something that's going to last a little while.
Yeah.
And then what are you going to do in that situation? Or will you give in?
I'm going to say this. I'm going to go, I have a reasonable price. I'm going to go, I want a mattress and something. I want a mattress and a bed, mattress and a bed frame for $500.
Okay. I think you could pull that off.
I think that I'm going to go, that is kind of my price range. That is what I'm willing to do. Done. If you got it for me, great. And then they'll probably try and get me to 600, which
you're going to end up spending over 500, but it's fine.
Yeah. I'm going to get there, and you know what? It's going to be an investment. I'm just going to have it.
Look at this.
And like,
you've learned a lot over the last 24 hours. I'm proud of you. It's going to
be way better than like trying to MacGyver and like get this and do that. And you know what? I'm just going to bite the bullet. And I'm a man now at the point where I have a full-time job. I get paid every 2 weeks. Sometimes you got to, I'm afraid to spend money. That's my thing. I'm always fearful of spending money. Like I've always been that way. No matter how much I have.
You could also go over across the street to Mrs. B's.
Yeah,
okay.
That's the clearance
the clearance section
outlet,
of.
but
Yes.
Will that be cheaper?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll go to Mrs. B's.
Go to Mrs. Beast.
And it's all fine. It's not like,
It's not crappy.
hey, if you turn this mattress over, there's a big pea stain
Sure,
on it or anything
sure.
like that.
Yeah. Texture Aaron says, go up to a queen. What? By the way, what size are you searching for?
Full.
You need to go to a queen at least.
You think?
Well, so here's what Aaron says: go up to a queen size and go into Mrs. B's. Young guy, you need a queen. Full size. It can work.
We'll see what the prices are.
Get a queen.
I have a smaller room though. Like I'm afraid a queen might take up too much of it.
Oh yeah, my bed takes up my whole room.
Yeah, I'm not, and like that's how I grew up too. I
As-
grew up.
as Josh's child now knows about.
That's right.
So
yes.
so that's what
Josh's child walked into my house on Wednesday and he was like, I want a tour.
Yeah.
He's like, take me on the tour.
He demanded a tour. His parents did not.
And I was like, all right,
your
kid, I'll take you on a
Your
tour.
kid's got a little chutzpah.
Yeah,
I like it.
yeah.
I like it. I like that a lot. He's
He
got
was
a
feeling
little-
good. He was wearing his Kraken
Yeah.
jersey.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, he was feeling himself.
hell yeah!
He's
Are
like,
you a Seattle fan, Hudson?
He likes the sea monster,
Gotcha.
and there happens to be a team named after that sea
Yeah.
monster. So he's like, yeah, that's just cool. I like this team.
Is he excited for the Christopher Nolan Homer's Odyssey adaptation in the film? Is he chomping at the bit for
I
that?
haven't really broken that news to him yet,
Okay.
but his father is.
Yeah. I almost said your friend, Josh. I think we're friends.
I think
We're
that's
friends.
I think so.
Josh, we're friends.
All right.
Your
Your new friend.
I'm
Ber-
so excited.
Bernie tweets in,
Hi, Bernie.
no way Matt gets out of the mart for less than $1,500.
Oh, no. Wow.
No doubt they'll introduce him to the NFM 18-month no interest credit card from now until the end of time. He'll have monthly payments with that.
You know what? I'll tell
Honestly, the Mart card is pretty sweet.
It is.
We love the Mart card.
Everyone has one.
Yep.
listen.
Get the Mart card. Do you have credit cards?
No, I don't.
You should. Now it's time. Credit card time.
I do. I actually have one in my backpack that I can activate. But I just haven't.
All right.
Anyway,
Interesting.
regardless.
Yep.
I'm going to tell you something right now. I have no problem with any of being pressured into that stuff because I'm really good at not being
Okay.
I have no problem.
You know where you stand.
I have zero problem telling retail people to F off, you know?
Wow.
I got like the whole like, oh, you can never quit the gym. No. I've quit multiple gyms at this point. Like I can be like, no, I'm good. No, I get it.
Okay.
No, I understand. No, don't need it. Like Best Buy's been trying to get me to buy one of their cards forever.
That's the
Can't
big
get me.
city in them.
I don't care.
That's
So
good.
what?
That's good.
Like, yes, I do have the Midwestern like charm and whatnot, and like you be Nebraska nice, Minnesota nice, Illinois nice, whatever. But like
Illinois, nice. That's the thing.
in Southern Illinois, they're good people.
Okay.
Unless they're from Chicago, then they don't like you.
They're not nice.
Oh, Southern Illinois and Chicago's got beef, man.
They're nice in Carbondale.
I love Carbondale.
Really?
I've never been there. I'm kidding. I've never had the honor. I've been to Springfield and Peoria and Champaign.
Look
They're
at that.
good. They're good times.
You've taken the Missouri Valley tour.
I have taken. It's a good way of putting it.
We love the Mo Valley.
No, but
We miss it.
yeah. So
Not
I've
really.
right now everything is kind of just in my room. I'm not like moved in. Things are hung up.
You get there. There's no rush. I don't want to rush it.
My rent got less though. I'm paying less for rent now
Hello.
Excellent.
because there's one room that has the built-in bathroom, and then there's another room that doesn't have the built-in bathroom, and so there's like less space. Like the other room is bigger.
Mhm.
I almost burped into the microphone.
Mm.
And my roommate, I just walked in. Like I got there before him, and I just put my stuff in one room without knowing that it was in the bigger room.
Unfortunately, that was a claim.
And
So,
yeah.
and my roommate was like, "Well, well, you probably should like pay more if you're going to be in this room." And I go,
I'll take the smaller one.
"I'll take the smaller one, and you can pay more." So that's what we've agreed on.
Nice.
Yeah. And so I got a little more moolah to play with.
Yeah.
Got a little more cat. Any other tips, dude? You want to guess what my Target bill was yesterday?
So you had $250 on the gift
I
card.
had 300.
You had $300 on the gift card.
I didn't know until she cashed it up, and I had an extra 50.
And okay,
I
so you spent-
bought
it's $250.
everything.
Nice.
I bought
Pots and pans.
pots. No, he had pots and pans, but I bought the plates.
Awesome.
I bought silverware. I bought like the tongs. I bought a Swiffer Mop Jet.
Gotta have
I bought all the cleaning supplies: the Lysol, the Windex, the bathroom scrubber, the what do you call it? Sponges. I bought a Scrub Daddy. I bought
How about condiments? Ketchup and
no,
mustard.
I haven't bought food yet.
All right.
Yet to buy food.
Yep.
I bought command strips and hangers, and I bought like little. I bought a fan. I bought.
Little do you know, this is stuff that is just going to stay with you for a long, long time.
I bought.
You won't use any of it.
Scotch tape. I bought Scotch tape. I bought like little pins and needles and stuff to like hang stuff up. I bought ice trays.
Look at that.
I bought everything.
You're
so
loaded.
where do I went over 300.
I think you did a good job.
Where do you think I landed at?
I mean,
I bought a plunger. Do you know a plunger's $20?
Whoa.
really?
Yeah. Well, at least the one
That
that I
must have been
bought.
a nice plunger.
It's like stainless steel. Maybe I went a little bit too much on the plunger.
You splurged on the
I
plunger.
splurged on the plunger.
Is it $350 somewhere in that range?
$460.
Look at that.
Hello.
Look at that. Target appreciates you.
And I appreciate Target. I'm a fan. Are there stores that you're a fan of, Mr. Happer or Odson? Are you like, that's my store?
Big Target guy.
Like retail stores like that? Not really. It's just whatever one I live close to.
I'm at Target
Yeah.
probably 3 times a week.
I go to Target.
Really?
You go to Hy-Vee. Go to Costco.
Is that a you or a wife thing, Josh?
We like to go together.
Yeah, hold hand. Is that like a date?
Um,
Is that like what couples your age do now? They go on Target dates?
I mean, I guess it is, but we don't like to call it that because it's sad.
Yeah. So where am I? I'm hitting the Big O tonight. You got any suggestions?
Sounds like you're going across the river.
Where's that? I don't know where that is. I'm close.
That's where the casinos are.
Oh. After. I'm talking about after. I'm talking about when I take my winnings.
See, I never really did Omaha downtown too much. Because it was when I was in college.
Where did you do Omaha?
I was in Lincoln. And then, when I wasn't, when I was in high school or whatever, I wasn't like going downtown
Sure.
or anything like that. There was a few times. There's some good places to stumble into down there.
Are you you're a UNL grad?
Mm-hmm.
Josh, you a UNL grad?
No,
Where did you graduate from?
Iowa Western.
Oh.
I-dub. He's a Reaver.
Oh, is that why you do the JUCO? Is why you
Yeah.
announced? That's awesome. That's sick. Iowa Western. A great program. Great program.
Indeed.
Great
It is.
program.
Good take.
Hey, well, dude, I need him. I need to see
I
one
know.
go through the hoop,
There
man.
you go.
It's been a rough. Yeah. So what's my next big? Should I continue the hate Notre Dame bandwagon that I'm on? I feel like I'm kind of creating a brand here, which is good for the station.
So your option henceforth is to root for Penn State.
Oof.
Are you interested in rooting for Penn State?
I'm gonna need an offer. I'm gonna need an NIL deal. I'm gonna need. I don't know. Maybe if they send me a jumpsuit, like one of those James Franklin matching pants, matching zip ups, I'd do it.
The white on white.
Oh, I
Clean.
would wear it. I would wear it and lose all credibility on the station. I'd just walk in. I'd have like a whistle. Give me like a navy blue whistle and just walk around. Maybe get a hat too. If Penn State, they won't.
They're not going to send you.
They're not
anything.
going to send me anything.
No.
But if they were, hypothetically, because we live in a world of hypotheticals.
Mhm.
If they were to hypothetically send me a white on white jumpsuit with a blue hat and a navy blue whistle,
Yeah.
I would wear it every day of the week.
We are all.
If Penn State it beats Notre Dame and they were to send me that, I would wear that every day of the week.
I definitely can say that I appreciate all kinds of free things.
Oh.
So if you need me to be your walking billboard or promotional item for your team, university, whatever
Company.
it might be,
Yeah.
company, I'm here for you.
Um,
as long as it's nice.
Someone once asked me what my favorite beer was. Do you know what my answer was?
Probably what do they drink in Chicago?
Hams.
No. Free.
PBR.
Definitely.
Free beer
Free
is
beer.
the best beer. There is no better beer.
We got some in the fridge.
I'm drinking one now. This is my favorite beer.
What are you cooking there?
I got a cross-strain brewing Cabana Cruiser citrus wheat ale.
Look at that. What a nice way to start the Friday.
I know. 10 a.m.
So you will not be participating in one beer Friday. You'll be doing multiple beer Friday.
I'll be doing rum bucket Friday.
So maybe it is just one beer.
Could be 1 beer, could be 8 beers, could be 22 beers.
Many people
are saying
they're just commenting in about, how when you speak in your mindset, it really makes them think of the olden times.
What does that even mean?
Chris writes in, he says, the life of a young single male. This segment brings back memories of a young broke male fresh out of college into the workforce.
I'm going to have to do it. I'm going to have to spend $600 on a bed.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you right now, I was up in sweats last night thinking about it, but it's just when I was sitting on the air mattress having the worst sleep of my life.
That's when you made the decision. You're like,
I was on, my buddy had an air mattress and he goes, hey, like, don't worry about buying one. Don't worry. I'll go ahead and I'll bring you one. You can sleep on it. And I was sleeping on it and I go, Happer was right. Swear to God. Swear to God.
Many things Happer was right about.
I kid you not.
Notre Dame, the air mattress.
I was laying down on that bed and I go, Connor was right. I go, I can't do this.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be able to put it. I go, there's nothing that's going to redeem this. I can't put a mattress topper on this.
I'm happy to impart any wisdom on you that.
But Bees is good. I'm going to Bees. I'm not going to the Mart. No offense to the Mart. I'm, sponsor us.
It's
please.
the same thing. They're all under one roof. Right?
Yeah, you're right. Same.
Is it like the
same company's getting your money? They don't care.
Well, shout out to Target because I went up to a Target employee and I was like, "Hey, like, I was gonna buy a box mattress at Target," and they were like, "Well, we don't got that." But and he's like, "You should go to the Mart," and he's like, "You get a better deal over there."
So if you hear it enough times,
you
don't have to believe just me, but you're going to hear it enough times.
Yeah, I was thinking. I go, Happer and the Target employee were both correct.
Yeah.
So how long do you think? Like, I've got to pay the construction fee, right? I mean, that's how much do you think? Like a
delivery installation.
Yeah, how much is that going to run me? You think?
Be a little bit more, but worth it. You don't have to find a car to haul it back to your, a truck or anything like that. No, just get the delivery.
All righty. Well, I'm going to do it. I'm a grown man now. Thank you.
You are another.
Right there.
Show the camera once again. Another handshake.
Always. There's always when in doubt, handshake Happer.
Yeah.
Put it on a t-shirt.
Well, enjoy your day. I hope you find the spoils and splendors.
I'll tweet it. Honestly, should I videotape this, or make it for content, like Matt buys a mattress?
Yes.
There were some people that would like that.
I think Nick Grimm is licking his chops right now, listening to this. He's like, "Oh my God, this is incredible!"
Another thing to put up on the YouTube.
No, we can put another YouTube short. Matt buying a mattress.
Matt McMaster haggles with Mrs. B's employee over what size bed he needs. YouTube.
I need a queen. I'm walking in.
Like, no, I think you need a king, my friend.
Yeah, I am a king. I bought this blueberry muffin that I'm never going to eat. Congrats to me.
Why not?
I don't know. I'm looking at it.
You're not going for it. What made you buy it?
Thought I wanted it.
And now you don't.
No, I don't.
Wow, things change. It's very, very quick.
You go from air mattress to I'm spending $600. You go from I'm having a blueberry muffin to I want to throw up looking at this.
Put it in the fridge. Maybe somebody will grab it. Put it on a table out there.
It'll be a nice little munchie on Sunday.
Okay, there you go. Matt, have a great afternoon.
Rum bucket.
That's how he says goodbye, everybody. Rum bucket. See you later. That's Crossover, powered by Every Level Concrete Repair in Omaha, everylevelconcrete.com. It is Friday. We'll start things off next.
It's the Connor Happer Show. Are we sure we want to do this?
Could you, make an announcement that we're ready?
It's the Connor Happer Show on 1620, The Zone.
Good morning and welcome in. Happy Friday. It is the Connor Happer Show. You're on 1620 The Zone and on 1620thezone.com. The Connor Happer Show. Not like the Ohio State Buckeye.
Yeah, that's trademarked. You got to be careful.
The Connor Happer Show. They're back. I don't know if you've heard about Ohio State.
I have heard about the wagon that is Ohio State.
They're cooking a little bit right now. They might and now we live in a world where possibly the most likable team or America's team out of the Final Four is Notre Dame.
That's right.
What did Marcus Freeman do? But he made Notre Dame likable. Interesting. Is it because of their rogue conferenceless status and how people, they do conference cheering and they're just like, well, if my team's not going to be in it, I don't want the other conference to win it, so might as well just pick the team with no conference. And it turns out that they're, one of the blue bloodiest of the blue bloods.
Is it because they have Xavier Watts on the team?
I don't think it's just a local thing, though. I think America has sort of adopted Notre Dame.
Yeah.
America likes Notre Dame again. This is
the lesser
painful to hear
for evils.
Yeah, this is painful to hear for young Matt. But I think this might be the case. It's not Texas. It's probably not Ohio State. It's probably not Penn State.
I would like to congratulate a large segment of this audience for not doing I got to root for a Big Ten team. And maybe we'll get there over the course of the Final Four, but I have not seen a lot of you guys need to root for the Big Ten.
Yeah. Well, we might end up with an all Big Ten national championship game. And then it would just be a great night for Mr. Petiti, the Petiti man. I guess people aren't really, I don't know. Hard to put anybody into a box these days, I suppose.
Yeah.
But I don't think Texas is going to win a national championship, so you're not going to have the SEC honks thing.
Quinn.
I don't out of the four, I could probably see them winning their two games the least. Let me check the odds on that, by the way, over here. So national championship odds, Ohio State plus 100, Notre Dame plus 350, Texas plus 400, and Penn State plus 450. Penn State might be a halfway decent bet, plus 450. You win a game against Notre Dame, then you get the rematch against Ohio State, or you have a chance to beat Texas, and those teams are similar. I don't know who's going to win the national championship. This is kind of interesting.
I do like that aspect of it, even though I don't like any of the four teams. It's a big meteor Final Four.
Yeah.
But I do like that I don't know what's going to happen.
It's kind of a good thing.
Yeah.
I guess. There's been a lot of bad and certainly a lot of conversation throughout the college football playoff, of which we will continue to talk about today on a Friday edition of the Connor Happer Show. I will ask, what's the solution? If we're all admitting that we're changing the seating and we're changing the format of the playoff prior to next year, which it seems like is going to happen. That's definitely the way the wind is blowing at this point. What's the answer? How do what will fix our perceived problems at this point? We'll talk about that coming up here in just a little while. Georgia, and what that, kind of what that program looks like right now and what it's going to be going forward. Creighton and Nebraska each have big games this weekend. Creighton with a big one tonight against Marquette. You can hear that on 1620 The Zone.
That's right.
1019 The Keg. I would imagine that Blue Jay Shoot-Around will just start at 6.
You nailed it, Connor.
Look at that. Look at me. And John takes over from the building in Milwaukee, which has a name.
Fiserv.
Is it? Oh, yeah, Fiserv. The Fiserv Forum.
Mm-hmm.
I'll take over at 7:30 this evening. I enjoyed I basically was a fly on the wall for a conversation between John and then the play-by-play guy for St. John's. And I'm a nerd for this stuff. And they were just talking about the locations in which they were sitting around the various arenas in the Big East and how hardly any of them are on the floor anymore.
Huh. Sad.
Yeah, it is sad.
I mean,
I
give the people that perspective.
I know. And then there's some buildings that are NBA arenas, and they have like specially kind of designated spots, but hardly any of them are on the floor, because I don't know if you've watched an NBA game. Maybe many people haven't, but you might notice while watching an NBA game that there's the bench, and then as you get closer to the middle of the court, the half court line, there's more people. There's courtside seats. There are people sitting closer to the center of the action than the actual players are sitting, which is kind of funny. So there's
always a Jenner somewhere.
There's a couple of those in the Big East. I was just a fly on the wall for this conversation. It was great. So you can hear John at 8:00 tip-off tonight on 1620 The Zone, at 101 and 101.9 The Keg. Nebraska with a massive game against UCLA tomorrow afternoon at Pinnacle Bank Arena
on Big Fox.
Featuring Timmy B.
Timmy B?
Timmy B and Nick B.
The bees.
Yeah.
The killer bees.
Yeah. In the house tomorrow at PBA. It'll be rocking. It's a big one. And we do have
Nick loves Timmy B.
We do have a roadmap graphic for Nebraska. I love graphics, Josh.
Equal time.
2 for 2 on graphics in 2025.
Look at you.
I don't know how long the streak will continue.
It will. This is probably the end of it.
Probably not as long as the guy who went to 70 straight Rose Bowls and had the streak broken over the weekend.
Oh no.
Yeah, did you see that guy?
I did not see that guy.
Yeah.
Where was he?
He had some health thing come up. I think he's okay.
Okay.
Art Spander.
Great. That Art is absolutely the name of a guy who's been to 70 straight Rose Bowls.
Art Spander went to 70 straight Rose Bowls.
Wow.
And didn't go to the COVID game in 2021, but that doesn't count because it wasn't actually in the Rose Bowl. But yeah, seen it all, but didn't get to see the trouncing that Ohio State put on Oregon in this year's Rose Bowl, at least in person.
I assume he's like a Pasadena resident.
So I'm trying to figure out actually who this guy is. So Streaks starting as a program salesman. Oh, okay. So he's done many different roles at the Rose Bowl. He was a hawker, and then a sports writer.
Oh,
a spectator. So
big Springsteen
program salesman, continuing as a spectator, and then a sports writer, and that covered 70 straight Rose Bowls for Art Spander, who put out a blog about his 70 Rose Bowls in a row that he saw prior to this year. So we'll talk about Creighton and Nebraska coming up for this weekend. We'll talk about a quiet big shift that Matt Rhule has undergone, at least that's how it feels to me. We'll bring that up today during the show. Unlimited eligibility, or I should say eligibility is fake, part 55, featuring a tweet from John Rothstein this morning. We'll talk about that. The most watched television broadcasts of 2024 include many, many sports games, but mostly football games when we talk about sports. And topic alert, a tweet from Mr. Yogurt this morning.
Yogurt?
Have you seen the yogurt tweet?
No.
So Troy Dannon said the following: post bowl game progress at Hawks Indoor, a little barren now, but the new look will be spectacular at Husker football. And so it's one is a picture from the deck at the Hawks Championship Center where they're apparently replacing the turf inside there. And the second one is a mock-up of a different design inside Memorial Stadium. Now, we don't know what this is going to look like. I don't know what he's saying, right? Maybe he's just saying that's what the turf is going to look like inside the Hawks Championship Center. But the mock-up that he tweeted is inside of Memorial Stadium. And what you'll find that is different is that the end zones are red. 951-1620 is the number to call. Please sound off. This is big end zone color overreaction today on 1620 The Zone. So we'll talk about that. And we will speak with our esteemed Friday guests, as we normally do. Bryan Munson will join us at the top of the hour, talk some recruiting with him. Brian Christopherson at 11:25, and Stephen M. Sipple. None of these people I've really talked to, but I assume they're all available. They're used to it at this point.
Sure, Sipple knows.
I wonder what Sipple's up to.
The bank, obviously.
Going to the bank on the Friday. Yeah, got to go to the bank.
First Friday.
That's the lineup powered by the Rooferees at John Higgins Weather Guard. Would love to hear from you all. 402-951-1620 on the 42 Degrees of Source hotline. You can call or text that number. Tweet at Happer Show at Connor Happer on the JTech Construction Zone Twitter feed. You can email Connor or Josh Show at 1620thezone.com. In the Equitable Bank inbox, and we say good morning to the YouTube streamers this morning. Hello, everybody. You can find us on YouTube, 1620 The Zone TV, or on our website, zonetv.live. People already have takes about the end zone.
I'm digging through the replies to that Dannon tweet.
So if they're going to, and we'll talk about this in a minute, but if they're going to move to grass after this coming season, then are they really going to install new turf at the stadium to get the red end zones and then take it out again and put grass in before the 2026 season? Like I have a lot of questions.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
I have a lot of questions. I'm not exactly sure what's going to happen there, but we could talk about it, and people have very, very specific takes about what Nebraska should look like. I think in a big picture, we're doing this now. Big picture, what you're seeing here is the difference in how Troy Dannon views things as it pertains to the brand, as it pertains to the colors of things, what things look like, how they look on television, his opinion on those things compared to his predecessor's opinion. His predecessor, for all of the good, very boring.
Yeah.
Very, very boring.
Really no way around that.
And Trev, or he who shall not be named, according to some, responsible for taking the state off of the logo at PBA.
Mm-hmm.
Might that make a return in the coming months or in the 2025-2026 basketball season?
Trev always said he was listening. Is Troy Dannon actually listening?
Maybe it's well, Trev was definitely listening, but you weren't going to convince. He had a very specific vision for how he wanted things to look, right? He's a traditionalist, and I think, frankly, a lot of people agree with him on the way things look.
Sure,
there's too many things going on. Why do we have 47 different logos? What's going on? And Dannon's like, yeah, I think there's a way that we can make this cooler and shinier and brighter, and allow our players to have fun too. Like, it's the same thing with uniforms, alternate uniforms, different colors that various teams wear and stuff like that. Like, I think Troy Dannon has a very, very different opinion on all of that stuff than Trev Alberts did, because Trev was from the olden times of Nebraska football. He saw it that way. He liked it that way, and they won that way. There's a lot of different things you could do with the brand nowadays, and Dannon thinks, I think just a little bit differently, maybe a little bit more forward thinking. Although Trev had a really good, he had a good sense of the big picture. That's for sure. There's positives and negatives to both guys. So we can talk about that today. Seems like people have opinions on it. You can send us your opinions in various different forms, as we just explained.
We love opinions
here on the show. Chris writes in to the Equitable Bank inbox.
Hi, Chris.
Subject line, just no. No, no, no. Notre Dame is not America's team. I hate them so much. Bleep Texas. And I'm never cheering for Penn State. That's definitely what Chris said.
Definitely.
I cannot believe I have to cheer for Ohio State. So truly what Chris is saying is we are down to big meteor semifinals.
That's right.
And
welcome to it.
Yeah. Which is a bigger big meteor game for you?
Of the two?
Yeah.
Wow, that's a great question.
They're pretty big meteor, both of them.
I'm going to go Texas, Ohio State.
Definitely. It's that. Although I don't mind when Ohio State wins as much as other people do, but I'm fine with them.
They're just so smug.
They are. I'm fine with them being on their little redemption tour though after losing to Michigan the way they did.
It would be kind of funny.
Yep. And I don't have that much against Penn State, and I frankly don't have that much against Notre Dame. I don't know what people have against Notre Dame other than the fact that they're Notre Dame and they're just so smug, like you said.
I would love for Xavier Watts to become the second favorite son of Omaha Burke High School.
Defensive MVP of the Sugar Bowl, America's greatest sporting spectacle.
They put a microphone in front of his face.
How about that?
It is going to be Xavier Watts, Josh Odson, Dan Jackson.
It has been a big week for Burke alums.
It has.
Hasn't it? And so did you say you graduated with Dan?
Yeah, class of 03.
Okay. So there you go. Maybe he could bring you along with him when he gets inducted into the Hall of Fame.
I would ride those coattails. Absolutely. If anyone's listening that has control of that.
Well, Josh has been saying it for years. He's also introduced his candidacy for mayor of Omaha.
If the voters will it, who am I to say no?
Okay. All right, we're off and running here on a Friday. Thanks for being with us. Plenty to come today. Let's talk football more. We'll take your calls, 402-951-1620. Back after this on 1620 The Zone.
Let's get back to the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
Caller.
I didn't get his name. I'm sorry. That's my fault.
Caller called in. Caller to the Connor Happer Show called in during the break, and that caller asked if there was ever any Burke players before Xavier Watts or Xavier Watts to become an All-American. And the answer is yes.
Who, Connor?
Alex
Whom?
Henry. Alex Henry. Remember Alex Henry? Remember when he made that field goal against Colorado?
I do.
People forget.
Kickers are people too.
They are. He was an All-American. I don't know the All-American the first name that I actually thought of was Rich King, and I don't think he was an All-American in basketball, and I don't think Jason DeRusso was an All-American in basketball. Was Rod Cush an All-American? Was Barney Cotton an All-American?
Oh,
Barney Cotton. He was George Andrews an All-American?
that was the name he and his friends came up with.
George Andrews, second team All-American, first team All-Big 8 in 1978. Wow, who's this guy? Craig Anton. He's an actor. The actor?
The actor?
Supporting character on Phil of the Future? Phil of the Future, the Disney Channel show? Josh, I don't know. You might have some tough competition here.
This guy went to Burke?
That's what it says.
Omaha, Nebraska.
That's what it says in the famous alumni page of the Burke High School Wikipedia.
And where is my section?
Well, you didn't make the list, weirdly.
Interesting. Anyone can edit Wikipedia. Just letting everybody know.
Okay, so can everybody edit I've never
don't
got
know
a straight answer on this.
I don't know if that's allowed anymore.
Can do you have to have like a membership to Wikipedia?
I think
because I know Wikipedia is always making us feel bad because we don't donate to Wikipedia.
Yeah. Hey, just if everyone in the world gave $2, we wouldn't have to ask you for money anymore. Well, I'm not giving Wikipedia $2. I'm sorry.
Would you give? Has anybody in our listening audience given Wikipedia $2, $5, $20?
Oh, this alumni section is terrible.
Jeez, Josh.
Come on.
Some candidacy for the Hall of Fame.
Mike Hill is a 2-time Oscar winner, RIP, and is not in the notable alumni section.
Yeah, so people need to edit that person in and you.
Baymon says, yes, I give $2 a year.
Look at that, Baymon. That's awesome.
Put your money where your mouth is. You use the Wikipedia service.
I use Wikipedia so often. I probably use Wikipedia 3 times a day on this show in 4 hours. Imagine how many times I do it on my own accord when I'm sitting at home. Baymon says, I can't handle the guilt. I don't know what they use. I guess I know to operate the website, right? I mean,
yeah.
What a great database. I love a big database. Poll question.
Do you love a big database?
Do you love a big database?
Sure.
Put that up at Happer Show on the JTech Construction Zone Twitter feed. All right. So last night, I think it's funny, or yesterday afternoon, I should say.
That's right.
I do think it's funny that we just automatically gave Kirby Smart the Nick Saban crown after Nick Saban retired, only because he's won those championships.
And he beat Nick Saban.
Catch Nick Saban never having a team that's that undisciplined. Georgia was talented as hell this year. And yeah, they lose people, but they rebuild and they have, All-American caliber players and they have NFL draft caliber players. Georgia was still really, really talented this year, but they couldn't get out. 2 things that are not very Saban-esque from Kirby. They couldn't get out of the last millennium on offense, and they're undisciplined. Fumbles, penalties, stupid jumping off sides, like stupid stuff all over the place. So much so that they had the guy who ran into the official on the white part of the sideline. And Kirby seemed like he was like, oh yeah, I don't even know who did that. You guys were focused on him during the entire game. It didn't even really get to him. The broadcast just hyper focusing on the walk-on corner who bumped into the ref on the long play. That was pretty stupid. So I don't know. The Saban crown is available, in my opinion. I think we defaulted to Kirby as the best coach in college football. And for good reason, like he's won, right?
And there's so few active
building a
coaches
dynasty
that have won.
I know
a national championship,
I know.
Which is really weird.
So, I think it's open. I think it's available.
Definitely.
I'm not to take it away from Kirby, but what I'm saying is I don't know that he particularly deserved it in the first place. But who is the coach right now who just has this sort of command on the sport? And it's like it's not about winning. It's not about how many games you've won or championships that you've won. But I think it's the kind of guy, and this only happens with time, right? It's the kind of guy that when they speak, and they specifically speak about the big picture, where the game's at right now, what we like, what we don't like, and all of these things, and the changes that should be implemented going forward. Who is the voice? College football is sort of lacking that at this moment. I mean, it's certainly lacking it in practice, right? In functionality. They don't have, I mean, nobody is that person. It's probably Greg Sankey.
Yeah.
Right. When they speak, when they say something, you're like, oh, okay, yeah, this probably means something. This probably has some weight behind it.
I would argue Nick Saban's voice has only grown stronger in this first season without a coaching
Nick
game.
Saban is probably still the answer to the question, but is there any active coaches that you would put in that category? Is it any of our 4 coaches that we have remaining available? They're all pretty young.
Yeah. Dabo likes to fancy himself as that guy, but he's not that guy.
No. No, I wouldn't consider him to be that guy either. So, maybe the answer is there won't be another one. There definitely won't be another Saban. Or I don't know. I shouldn't say definitely, but there doesn't appear to be another Saban at this point. Given that I think the shelf lives for college football coaches are a little bit shorter these days. Like, Marcus Freeman is how old? Lower 40s. You know, like how long is he there?
38.
38.
He's younger than me. Sad.
Ouch.
His birthday is a week from today. Doesn't he play a football game a week from today?
A week from yesterday, right?
Oh, yeah. There's one Thursday.
No, they're both Thursday, aren't they?
I think one's Thursday, one's Friday.
Okay. Well, you're the Mr. What to Watch tonight, so you would probably know better than me. But I don't, it's
Thursday, Friday.
Thursday, Friday. It's hard to see that at this point. College football is kind of lacking that. It's kind of missing that, especially in a time where I think we need voices and we need, we need people who also have been around a long time to give us the guidance and their perspective and stuff like that, and are capable and want the job, right?
Mm-hmm. That's a big part of it.
Want to speak for the sport and want to and understand that whatever they say, their word carries a lot of weight and a lot of oomph behind it.
Are we going to force that role upon Bill Belichick the next year?
I don't. Yeah, he wasn't even that guy though.
No,
because he would say stuff and it's like, all right, I can't listen to anything you're saying because you don't mean any of it. You're just trying to get out of the press conference.
On to Cincinnati.
As soon as you possibly can get out of the press conference.
On to Virginia Tech.
Right.
On to Virginia Tech.
On to Duke. Duke basketball? No. Duke football. So I think we're sort of missing that. And a side note, like I said, Notre Dame, they're likable. What happened?
Yeah.
What happened? What'd Marcus Freeman do? Or I'm willing to admit it's possible that it is my northern blood speaking. We have a split in college football fandom right now. It is Southern college football against Northern college football. Western college football has been left behind. They have to fit into whatever other category, one of the main 2 categories. It's a lot like the Big Ten and the SEC. It is, and it's representative of obviously those 2 conferences taking the power and taking the brands over in the sport. So I'm willing to admit that it's possible that I have some biases because I like it when the SEC teams lose. I like it when they talk all that junk and then they don't end up actually winning the games. I try to not be a Northern college football homer, but I'll admit it. I definitely, if it comes down to it, and a couple teams that I don't have any, share any emotion toward, and one's from the North and one's from the South, I'm like, yeah, give me the North. Absolutely. Every time. They're certainly more likable than Georgia, right? That's where people were rooting for them last night. So I don't know. Notre Dame.
I found that after the game, there were a lot of people. I don't know why I found myself in this world where I follow so many Notre Dame honks.
Wow, what happened?
But I like the Golics. They're funny. what does the fan base at Notre Dame think of Brian Kelly if Notre Dame finishes this thing off? Like,
they're like, thanks,
bud.
Yeah, they definitely became more likable when Brian Kelly left.
Yeah, I think that's part of it.
Yeah,
right.
One of the more unlikable coaches in the sport went to the South, and I think that was a big win
Yeah.
for the North.
And
right, if you look at it that way,
Marcus Freeman, pretty likable guy.
Absolutely,
seemingly.
Absolutely.
Riley Leonard, his own mom says he sucks.
Riley Leonard's so nice.
Yeah.
Did you see the post-game interview?
I want to thank my Lord and Savior.
Yeah, it's
Jesus
like I want to
Christ.
thank my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, but also like I'm just really happy to be here. Like I really enjoyed this.
This was fun.
Yeah, what a great experience.
I think both teams had fun.
Yeah, I love football. I love football. So yeah, get ready for it. We live in a very weird world now.
3 northern teams.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
And Texas.
And Texas.
Who is in the SEC, but they still don't feel very SEC. They still feel like they're off in their own kind of world.
Yeah.
If Texas moved and they just became an independent team, I'd view them exactly the same.
Yeah.
You know, most of the teams in the SEC have like gone to full on I love the SEC, and the backing of the SEC and the power of the SEC is good and important for them. Texas doesn't need it, right? They are their own thing. We are Texas.
Even like school you don't normally think of, like Missouri has over the last like 5 years
absolutely
really started.
It's
to
like
feel
we're
like
going to
an
become
SEC team.
we're going to become the SEC.
Yep.
We got to be honks big time. Texas doesn't really feel that way. All right, just some thoughts there to start off the show. We have plenty more coming up today. Let's get some thoughts from Bryan Munson coming up on the other side on a Friday in the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
The latest sports news, analysis, and commentary in a clean, concise, and disease-free way.
See there?
What a relief! Thank God! Wonderful!
It's the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
All right, we'll talk with Bryan Munson of Husker Online here in just a moment. Once we track him down, I want to get into. I was updating once again. I'm trying to do it, Josh. I'm trying to keep my scholarship distribution page intact.
It's very noble of you.
I'm trying. It's hard.
Sure.
It'll actually be very easy once we get decided who's on the 105 and all that stuff. Because right now it's very unclear of like how old anyone is or who has a scholarship and who doesn't and who's going to be on the team and who's not. It's a reality that we all have to live with now in college football, especially. So I wanted to ask him about, how some positions look and we will, if he gives us a call back here in a second. But speaking of, wanted to bring this to people's attention. Here's a tweet. It's from John Rothstein. It's not about Omaha being somewhere in the middle of America.
We sleep in May.
It's not about Pinnacle Bank Arena. What does he do for Nebraska? It's like Pinnacle Bank Arena, one of the best places or something like that. It's like, it's pretty bland, but it's not about those things.
Okay.
He writes, the NCAA is considering allowing 5 years of eligibility for players in all sports moving forward, per an NCAA official. The topic will continue to be discussed in early 2025. Once again,
all right.
The NCAA is considering allowing 5 years of eligibility for all players in all sports. So there's, it used to be you have 5 years to play 4 years, and then, red shirts, and then the red shirt rule changed, and then we had COVID, and then there was waivers, or not, and then there was waivers before that, immediate eligibility waivers, and now we have the transfer portal and free transfers anytime, and now we have
medical hardships.
We have players that are suing the NCAA to get extra eligibility back, and we have Lane Kiffin making fun of those players, which was pretty funny last night. So, yeah, it's gotten a little bit convoluted. It's gotten a little bit confusing. I don't know how old anyone is anymore, and I don't know how much eligibility people have left. Until further notice, I am operating under the expectation that everyone has unlimited eligibility, because that is basically what we have come to find.
In August, I will go, what happened to player X? And
right.
They graduated.
They graduated. They ran out. They ran out of eligibility. So the idea here is, I think, is that, or I guess this is the way it would make sense. If you take away all the other crap, if you take away red shirts, if you take away hardships, if you take away the waiver process and the eligibility, all of that stuff, you still got to go through the whatever clearinghouse that they do to be eligible. But if you take away all of the questions about what, getting a year back, all of that stuff, you just have 5 years. You're eligible in all 5 of those years. If you miss one of those years, sorry. That's all you get. 5 years. If you miss 2 of those years, sorry. You have to make the most out of your 5 years. That might actually be something that I could get on board with.
If it was exactly like that, I would be thrilled.
But it'll probably be super convoluted and, all of that stuff.
Always is.
What's that? You want to put 400 teams in the NCAA tournament? Okay. Let's make it more confusing than it needs to be. Anyway, with that, we now bring in Bryan Munson of HuskerOnline.com. He joins us now on the 42 Degrees of the Source hotline. Hello, Munson. Happy Friday.
Happy New Year, buddy.
Happy New Year. How was your last couple weeks? We haven't talked to you in a while.
Oh, it was wonderful. The kiddo actually just flew back to Omaha last night. So he and the girlfriend were down here. Then they've got recruiting stuff at UNK, and I told him that the portal madness was already starting all over again with Nebraska, so he knew better. He had to kind of get out of the way. So
yep.
I was like, Sean's calling me. That was reporting the Red Sea. It's like, hey, I got to go take this phone call really quick. So no, it was good, but I think the weather's supposed to change for both you guys and us even down here pretty quickly. So I think we're ready to batten down the hatches here a little bit.
What? So like if it's going to be the high of 7 up here, what does that look like in Texas? Like 43?
Well, talking like like low to mid 30s.
Oh, hello.
I mean, which is that's.
I mean, that could be a real actual problem. Yes,
it could. I mean, well, and I think we spoke about this a while back. Like when we last had that polar issue down here, my pipes froze up at the house. My parents lost their power. So we were, it was a mess. And a lot of people had like water pipes break and damage to the houses. I mean, the houses down here are just not insulated the same way.
Yeah, not built for it. So, no.
Not at all. And the pools and everything else that gets going outside because they all live in this kind of semi-tropical environment during the summer. Yeah, those things cost a lot of money to fix later on.
Yeah. All right, Munson. Well, I guess let's get sort of a recap over the last 2 weeks. I mean, it's mostly portal stuff, and there was a game in there as well, and so Nebraska had to sort of navigate that as it took place in kind of no man's land as far as the time was concerned. But how do you feel about the way the last couple of weeks have gone as far as the roster construction looks?
I think Nebraska's in a much better spot. I think that they've gone out there and they've addressed some of their needs. They still have some needs that they need to kind of get addressed. I think they did a bang-up job at wide receiver. I mean, I think arguably they finished up with their top 2 guys there with Key and Hunter, getting them into the group. They've obviously have added a third wide receiver to the class as well. The other receiver from Kentucky in my mind is Gilmore.
Yep.
Hardly Gilmore. And he's obviously coming in, a lot of potential there. Young guy, should be really a 2025 guy that reclassified. I think that they went out and got their backup quarterback. They did a good job in the defensive line room. They did a good job in the secondary. Good job on the like I said, the defensive line stuff is mixed with kind of the high achievers, future, day one kind of starters to some guys that probably are more depth, on the line. But the offensive line questions remain. We obviously have talked about it. They need 2 to 3 offensive linemen in the portal. Obviously they still feel like they need to bring in some more defensive linemen because those are literally a few of the first guys to visit this week. We're going to be defensive linemen. It does feel like they're still kind of looking around and kicking the tires on potentially linebacker, cornerback, safety, still defensive minded. And I think this has kind of got everybody a little bit concerned. Like there were some concerns this morning on Red Sea Scrolls, and I get it. Like I mentioned it in, Tunnel Talk a week ago. I was like, we're still having this issue, obviously, where the offensive linemen are not around, but I think that things have been kind of like waiting on the FCS games to finish, for the other bowl games to kind of wrap up, for the playoff teams to kind of wrap up, to see who else might be jumping into the portal. So I think Nebraska is kind of waiting on those milestones and a few of those things to happen before we see some more offers and some more visitors kind of come in.
Yep, no doubt about it. Bryan Munson of Husker Online is with us. One of the things that you've been working on over the last couple of weeks has been the getting to know you stuff with the signees, which is pretty cool. It's a little bit more of an in-depth look at these guys who I don't know about. I guess I wonder what you think about this, Munson. Like the recruiting class, or the class of 2025, probably one of the more like undercovered, I suppose, classes, given that everybody's mind is just focused on other things these days. So it's good to see some of these things. What have you learned about Nebraska's signees over the last couple of weeks?
I think that's a really fair way how you sum that up, because when you and I talked about these guys from April through July, it was all we talked about. And then all of a sudden, it was like, okay, we're turning the page down to 2026.
Well, even the signing day press conference was about like Dana Holgerson.
Such an afterthought.
Right.
I mean, such a total afterthought. So a couple things, I guess, and I've spoken to all of them except Jamarian Parker, and I got a little bit of a communication issue with Jamarian, and I'm still trying to hope to catch him before he literally gets to Lincoln here in the next couple of weeks. I think, first of all, one of the favorite ones that I'd already published, it was yesterday, it was Cortez Mills. He does not lack confidence. He is a very confident individual. He knows what he wants to do when it comes to coming to Nebraska and how he wants his name to be remembered. I mean, he wants to go down as one of the best to ever play the game at Nebraska. So I thought that was a really, really great interview. Dawson Merritt, who I've not ran yet, as well as Christian Jones, both great interviews. I think that those guys obviously are going to be in a position to play some this fall, and they were really interesting guys to talk to. Connor Booth went up this morning. I had to laugh because I'd never heard of either one of the two things that he said he'd like to eat. It was a tater tot bake. It's like a casserole, and then he said he likes to snack on frozen grapes.
Oh,
never heard that, but I was like, that sounds interesting. And I think the thing about Connor Booth that some people don't even realize, and I think that this is one of the things was obviously with him is that he shut down his recruiting so early.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think people really realize that the teams that kind of tried to make a late run at him. And actually after the All-American Combine that he took part in January, he got some communication from SEC schools, at least one SEC school right away based on his performance. I mean, the word was out that he was a very, very talented individual. And there was one Big 12 team down the stretch that basically said, we've got a spot for you and you don't even need to visit. We just want you to sign. And it was pretty compelling to kind of hear that stuff. And then Brian Tapu, who was one of the last guys I caught up with, he had an interesting story about, teams negatively recruiting against Nebraska, which is always a fun question to kind of ask. And obviously, I thought which was really funny too. The number one favorite celebrity crush was Sydney Sweeney right now.
Shocking
by most of the guys. Yeah, shocking, right? Yeah. So that was definitely one of those things that always is funny to kind of listen to. But no, it was I think to your point, just kind of criminally undercovered. Because once we got past July, it was September. Then they just got stat checked. They barely got any visit, kind of quotes, about anything because they were already in the boat. And like you said, once it kind of got to even the signing date, it was like, hey, Dana Holgerson's here. Don't even worry about the class that's been committed for 6 months or more. And it's been kind of a wild cycle.
Well, I think it'll be really interesting to see too, because we'll talk about this a little bit later, but I feel like Rhule, or Nebraska in general has a bit of a different approach now, or at least the program, I guess I'll say it this way. The program feels different than it was in the direction of it, not with necessarily whether it's going up or down or whatever, but the way that they want to take this feels a little bit different than when Rhule got here 2 years ago, just as it pertains to how they acquire their players and development and sort of all that stuff. So these guys come in and the goal with any freshman class is to be, developed. And then you hopefully have some guys this year that play. And then in a couple of years and 3 years, they're all players. But I just wonder how recruits these days approach this, knowing that there will be opportunities to change and transfer. And I think it's cool that you get to talk to these guys and sort of get inside their minds on how they're viewing just the college experience in general, and then how that affects, what that means for Nebraska.
I had in such another great point by you. There are a lot fewer guys now talking about the ability to kind of ease into the college team, because for the most part, they're going to be judged immediately about how ready they are. And can they help the team out this fall, or do you kind of fall into the other two buckets, ever or never? It's really kind of been an interesting kind of thing, because I always ask those guys, hey, what are your goals? Last year's what are your goals for year one? What are your goals, immediately as you start your life as a Husker? Some guys like to kind of, talk about their academics and trying to find good habits. But the other guys are going, I got to find a way to get on the field.
Yeah, I'm playing.
I got to find a way to do. they almost know, like, and you've seen this shift in their answer, like they almost know, like, they've got to prove their worth, and their worth has to be proven almost immediately. And that's been definitely something different that I have taken away over the past 3 years, and how things like has sped up so much for these guys to have to basically be productive, as opposed to organically develop. And maybe by like year 3, you start seeing their name on the field. These guys are kind of being expected to be way more productive than that right away in their careers.
I wanted to ask you about some like how Nebraska's, I guess, and this is really general, and it plays itself out individually. So I don't want to put paint with a broad brush too much here, but Nebraska did lose several local products in the transfer portal this time around, and replace them with guys who are a little bit more, I guess, established from other places. What is Nebraska's current standing, I guess, or approach to Omaha specifically, but in-state recruiting, knowing that it's caught up in the rest of the game too, and like we just talked about, the approach that a lot of people, Nebraska can get their players from elsewhere after they've developed, and there's a lot of opportunities out there for various players.
I think that's another very interesting topic that you just brought up, because I think it's going to really require Nebraska to take a long, hard look about where these players are at and what they really feel like, is kind of the cap on them. I mean, and I think how quickly they can kind of get into them being productive in their careers, or if you are a 2-3 year guy, is it better off for you to kind of go elsewhere and maybe catch you somewhere else on the down the line, like after, they want to kind of portal transfer, come on back. I mean, this plays out so many different ways, but it still kind of comes down to this. Nebraska has to show the love for the in-state players, because that's what I think Nebraska understands is how their bread and butter. That's what they are based off of. And I think that kind of then extends out then to border states and then to your radius states. But I think you still have to kind of balance that a little bit about how hard you're going to press, but I think it's also like not only just how hard you're going to press, but how you have to consistently still recruit these guys, because you don't want to give them a reason to not come back around. Like a Williams Dewarney, for example. If Nebraska just decided, like at the end, like, we ain't going to get this guy, and we don't even know like why you're here visiting, and we're wasting our time talking to you. You're going to go to Missouri, you're going to go to OU, whatever. There may not have been the possibility that you're going to get a guy like that to come back. Or
definitely not.
Today the news about Ja'Shawn Ross, deciding to leave Alabama. And where Nebraska and K-State were kind of at with him before Alabama sniped them very late in the game, during his senior season. If Nebraska had not been, one of those teams that was still trying to continually recruit him and get him to commit and sign with them, who knows if Nebraska would really have a shot with that guy right now. So I think that this is, you've got to be thorough. You have to be fair. You want those guys, even if they're going to go to other places, to still come back and consider Nebraska on the second trip around the sun for them. And I think that's part that they have to kind of remember. You can't shut it down anytime soon, because you may want those guys to reconsider the Huskers later on when they go in the portal.
Yep, relationships. It still matters, maybe even more these days, like you said. All right, Munson. Well, we'll let you go. We appreciate it as always. Stay warm down there. Happy New Year. We'll talk to you soon.
Do the same, buddy. We'll see you.
It's Bryan Munson, HuskerOnline.com, putting in work on the recruiting class, the transfer portal as well. We'll get into that piece of it more with our next guest, Brian Christopherson, on where Nebraska stands and a couple different position groups and the types of players that they need to add and things like that. It's funny, though, how you look at it now. And I was talking about the scholarship distribution piece of this earlier. It's almost like, I think before the immediate transfer thing came into play, the way you viewed transfers is like they have to fit a very, very, very specific thing. They have to be a certain age, because we have to balance our roster. We don't want to lose too many guys at one time. But now, if you lose 40, 50, whatever guys a year, and this year's a little bit different because of the roster limits that are coming into play. But if you lose like 40, 50 guys a year, so we're talking 20 seniors and, I'm talking like who are players for you. And then another 15 or 20 guys out of the transfer portal. That's not seen as a huge deal because you could replace them with whatever you need. And so then you look at the roster, and if you don't pay close enough attention, it can become pretty unbalanced as far as how old guys are and stuff like that. But another thing to throw in here, and we mentioned the 5-year clock that is being tossed around a little bit earlier. Does it even matter if the freshmen or some or most freshmen or whatever have the approach coming in that they need to play and they need to get on the field, then or if not, they leave or they potentially leave. Why does it matter necessarily how old they are? It matters for how good you are, like at the end of a year or at the beginning of a year, and how many bumps and bruises that you're willing to go through as far as the young players are concerned. But I don't know, like we talked about the redshirt thing a few weeks ago. If you feel like a guy who's a freshman can come in and help you in whatever way possible, get him on the field, you develop him that way, and you're still going to have to evaluate at the end of the year whether he's going to be here or not, period, then why are we taking age into consideration at all? It's better to be older generally, but I don't think I don't think you necessarily care what age of, like, how old the player is depending on where you get the production from anymore. It's just a change. I mean, it's a shift for sure, and it's been an evolving shift for several years now. That's for sure. You got to turn that mic on, Josh.
How does a mic come unplugged?
I don't know.
Best guy's going to play. You want to stick to your 4 or 5 year plan, and that's harder and harder to do. You got to be a little bit smarter, a little bit more flexible as a head coach nowadays.
No doubt about it. Let's take a break. Bryan Christopherson will join us on the other side. We haven't talked about the game with BC yet, have we? There was a game.
The Pinstripe Bowl?
The Pinstripe Bowl.
No, we have not.
Was the Pinstripe Bowl? When was the Pinstripe Bowl?
6 days ago.
No.
Yeah. Saturday, December 28th.
Oh my.
Feels like 2 weeks ago.
It feels like many weeks ago. Yeah. Okay. So that is normal. Then we'll talk to BC about the game. And what the next couple weeks hold. Coming up on 1620 The Zone.
Hey, Brian.
Bryan Christopherson,
I gotta take this. It's Hap.
B. Rooney drove my Chevy to the levee, but the levee was dry.
Bryan Christopherson, Husker 24/7 on the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
And we're joined now on the 42 Degrees of Source hotline by our good friend Bryan Christopherson of Husker 247. Hey, Brian, what's up?
Oh, not a lot. 25 is going a lot like 24 so far, and that's all right.
Yeah, I think we can. We've made the decision already. This year's going to be just like last year. It's done.
That same exact football season and everything. Yeah, we should just. Let's not do that. Let's knock it up a couple more wins.
Yeah, we gotta have something to look forward to. BC immediate reaction on red end zones potentially, as tweeted out by Troy Dannon.
Yeah, it might grow on me. I'm kind of, as you know, an old soul about a lot of that stuff, so I kind of like the end zones as they've been in Memorial Stadium. However, I will say I'm a real sucker when you go to a bowl setting and you see the red end zone and the white, the paint job.
Me too.
And so it's kind of a weird opinion that I like it like at bowl sites and I like it the old school way at Memorial Stadium. But it'll be fine if that's what they go with ultimately. I'm not going to complain about it.
So
I'm past that part where I'm going to complain about like end zones or alternate uniforms or anything like that. I'm just not going to waste any breath on it.
Would they like? I'm confused. Would they replace the turf there next year and then do grass the year after that, or like I have no idea why. Like he tweeted it as if it was going to be in the Hawks Center, and then the mock-up was on the field, and it was even more confusing.
Yeah, I'd be speaking out of turn if I said I knew for sure on that. I know grass is around the corner soon, but that might be a year away. Maybe that was just like, this is what it's going to look like inside and then ultimately on the field. I don't know. So I'll be careful. I don't want anybody getting close to the ledge thinking that's exactly what it's going to be when they step on the field next September in Memorial Stadium. I'm not sure.
Before we have huge overreactions, we have to make sure that this is real first. So maybe we'll get there. BC, before we ask about football, I would like to ask you about the large basketball game tomorrow afternoon.
Oh, it is big. Yeah.
It is. It's a big game for Nebraska hosting. It's a meter mover, I think, for them, because if they win the game, will age really well. Because I think UCLA is a pretty dang good team. Like, what's on the line for Nebraska tomorrow, and how ready do they seem to you coming off of what they did in Hawaii and then another tune-up against Southern on Monday?
Yeah, I think they're confident right now, but if you've listened to Hoiberg speak about the Big Ten schedule that Nebraska has, the first 5 games on there, it is a real bear. Yeah. I mean, and so far they're 1-1, so they're in the spot they need to be. But you've got this, and then you go to Iowa Tuesday, and then you're at Purdue, and it's not quite the same Purdue as it's been, but it's good. And so you hate to say, like, if you were 2-3 at that, 5 games in, you'd feel good, but I think you would feel decent that you could then make a move from there. But this is a big step in locking up that second win, and then try to go get one on the road over the next week, and you would feel really great then. And it's one of those games where I know UCLA feels good right now.
Yep.
After beating Gonzaga, and they're holding teams to 58 points per game, and they're just like ridiculous on the defensive end. Yep. Yeah, they're getting like 10 steals a game. I mean, their numbers are something. And that's sort of the worry, I think, for Nebraska here, is they've been a little careless. Like even the other night, I know it was a big lead against Southern and you're just kind of playing it out, but they had 10 turnovers and it was just sort of giveaways, like on 3 straight possessions where it's dunks and stuff like that. And so you just can't have much of that at all in a game like this, because it does feel like points are going to be at a premium. I know gritty over pretty is sort of the phrase over with Nebraska right now. And this is 2 teams, I think, who kind of live by that. So it's kind of it'll be a boxing match. And as we know, Nebraska is very good in PBA. And I think this team is trying to establish, what last year's team got done in that building. And this would be a good start in that.
Yeah, it'll be I'm always curious to see teams and how they handle the immediate and swift step up in not only like talent and athleticism and general competition, but also to go from what Nebraska was experiencing over the last couple of weeks and having a lot of time off as well to the pressure that UCLA is going to put on you, and then a really charged up environment. I mean, it's from now on a whole different ball game for them going forward.
Yeah, they really get in gaps well, deflect a lot of passes. They've got a 5 who can shoot it, and really stresses you, I think, on your scouting report defensively. UCLA is a good team, and I know not everybody loves like the new look conferences that we have across the country, but it is kind of cool when UCLA comes in your gym, with their history. And so I think there'll be excitement about that. It's kind of an old school tip time that we don't always get in Lincoln.
Yeah.
It feels like wish they could put it on like Raycom or have Studio 66 lead it in, but
they need like a skylight in there so the light can shine through and just have a little bit on the court there. That would be old school too.
Yeah, that'd be beautiful. But I do think Nebraska had got some confidence really rolling in Hawaii, and it was a good chemistry trip for the team. Obviously, Bryce is playing at a high level and is just going to have to continue to do that. I think Esigen's going to be big, tomorrow. Like, can he hit, 3 or 4 from deep and just those big shots you kind of need in those moments where maybe momentum feels like it's tilting a little and then, he knocks it down, you're right back. Those kind of shots always make the difference in these games.
No doubt about it. Bryan Christopherson of Husker 247. BC, okay, football. We haven't asked about, we haven't got the chance. Does it feel amazing to you, first of all, that the bowl game that Nebraska played in was just 6 days ago?
Yeah, it does feel like a lot's happened since then. First off, it was a good trip. Like, I was kind of dreading it. I'm not going to lie, like going there, and I don't want to sound like, that's a spoiled thing to say, like it's a trip to New York City, but there were other trips I was sort of looking forward to more that Nebraska could have potentially made, but I thought the bowl was well done by the Yankees organization. I think the players had a good time, and then I felt like Nebraska was dialed in for it, and you saw that there was like young players that sort of got more reps, and I think made the most of it. I feel like Donovan Jones was like a real cool story out of that game, popping up at cornerback and playing 50 plus snaps, and the moment didn't seem too big for him. I think he had that tackle early in the game where Boston College had it it looked like blocked in a play that I think was going to be an explosive, and Donovan Jones shut it down after 3 yards. And just a play like that from some of those young guys like Jordan Ochoa, getting after the quarterback on a 3rd down, and Willis McGahee being disruptive, that's a big deal, I think, going into the offseason. And those are the guys who you want to be on the field in a game like that where maybe it got closer than you hoped it would be. Thanks, special teams again. But you have to take it as a positive that those guys experienced that close game. They won that close game. And this is a new era we're entering with 25, with some of these guys who are going to play a lot more. And, maybe it's a little boost where, hey, we won a game like that. Let's keep going. So there's a big difference between 7 and 6 and 6 and 7. It's just one swing of the number, but it would be a lot different feeling this week.
Definitely in feeling. No doubt about that. BC, speaking of special teams, Rhule said after the game that, they felt like obviously they need a bit of an overhaul there. What do you think that looks like in the coming weeks? Like, I always tell people that it doesn't have to be quite as simple as like, you have to fire people and bring new people in. I think there's definitely creative ways that they could go about, getting it better over there. But at the same time, Nebraska's been through a lot of different iterations of trying to get the special teams right over many coaching staffs now, and none of it's really worked. So I guess where do they turn to next? What can be the next thing? What's the next step that special teams needs to take?
Yeah, I don't know what they're going to do, with the coaching situation, and I'm not presuming anything's going to happen, actually. I know that's been the common thought, but I don't know. We'll see. Ed Foley's been with them a long time, and, I think there is a lot of trust in like how he goes about things. And so there might be a thought like you could work through it. But you are going to have to get under that hood and look at every part of this and like, okay, where are all the breakdowns besides the obvious with just like the bad snaps and stuff like that? Like some of the decision making and like even the shield and how it broke down on various punts throughout the year. I mean, that didn't have anything to do with snaps. There was just some common breakdowns we saw with Nebraska and basic stuff that we weren't seeing with other programs. And I mean, think about this, Connor. We watched a team that had 2 punts blocked where the other team got the ball on the 2-yard line of Nebraska. That actually happened twice this year. Yeah. Rutgers and in this past bowl game. And so, I mean, it just can't happen again. You definitely have to, if they're going to stay the course with Ed Foley, it's got to be a deal where you're saying we're going to look at every part of this and who's involved and which type of players are out there. And we got to maybe shift our thinking on some things in a dramatic way and look at what are other teams doing well that we're not and really get into it. So I know they spend the whole last offseason doing that too, though, and the results were what they were. And the biggest thing, of course, is at those main spots, you've just got to have the guys who can deliver. Like hopefully you've sort of got your place kicker thing figured out a little bit better going forward, but now you need a punter that's going to come in. I mean, Buschini had some good stuff. I don't want to act like it was all bad from him, but you're going to need a solid job from that. And just the basics with the snaps. I mean, I think that disrupted a lot with the kicking game. And so hopefully the guy they got coming in is just up for that. And Kevin Gallick is his name. Hopefully we say it a couple times this offseason and then never in the fall.
A couple really interesting defensive portal additions that Nebraska has added. You have Dasan McCullough, you have Andrew Marshall, both of which I would expect to give Nebraska significant playing time, starter minutes probably next year. There's another visitor on campus today, Marquez Watson Trent. He's the Sun Belt Defensive Player of the Year from last year. And as you noted, BC, he has played at Memorial Stadium already, and he's 1-0 as he played for Georgia Southern in 2022. This feels like a potential giant addition for Nebraska, but more so like their defense in general and the pieces that they have added so far, and looking to replace a lot of old players from last year's team.
Yeah, I think when you look at some of the ads they have made or have to make, it's not just about necessarily like those top line guys. You have to fill out your depth chart. We've seen it some with the defensive line, like Gabe Moore and Jalen George were additions, and maybe one of those guys is going to step right in. Like Jalen George played some good football, and he'll help right away. But some of those guys just have to be depth pieces too, where they're like the 5th, 6th, 7th guy in your room that you feel good about giving you some snaps. Linebacker is definitely a position where, it's not just John Bullock. You lose Bayer and you lose Stephon Thompson. And, Thompson was a guy who gave you some snaps as like a second team guy. And so Marquise Watson Trent with his resume would be one you would hope, I think, would come in and maybe get a starting job right away. He had a ton of tackles at Georgia Southern, just played a lot of college football and had a lot of success. Trey Latham's a name I know Schaefer's been tracking from West Virginia that there's been some interest in Nebraska, and he had said he's going to visit Saturday. We'll see. These things are always fluid, but they definitely are going hard after adding a guy or two at that position. It makes a lot of sense. As good as Vincent Shavers was, and I know there's the Rob Dvorak mentioned in the radio interview about even Chaven Wright getting another year possibly. You still, I feel like, could use 2 more guys there just to really feel great about your depth. So it doesn't surprise me at all that they're going hard after these guys. And Watson Trent was at Florida State on January 1st. This is sort of one of the fun things, I guess, about portal season. It feels like these little rivalries form between specific teams. It's like Nebraska and Florida State go after some of the same guys, obviously, with the coaching change and stuff like that. Nebraska and Kentucky have a little back and forth going. Obviously. So that's, I guess, our little side entertainment with all this.
Yeah. You don't get to play them during the year, but you could play them in January a little bit. And it tends to, and the fun thing is, BC, it all plays out on the internet. And Not on the football field, so it's great.
You can throw the best meme or GIF at someone and hurt their feelings.
All right, BC, have a good weekend. I'll see you at the basketball game tomorrow.
All right, sounds good.
All right, Bryan Christopherson of Husker 247. That's right, PBA is going to be hot.
You going to PBA?
Yeah, I got a buddy coming into town who's a UCLA fan.
Oh,
former co-host of mine, of which there are many.
Yes.
And he's like, I love Mick Cronin, and so I will fly to Nebraska to watch it. And
all right, that's weird, but sure.
And so I am accompanying him to the basketball game tomorrow.
You're gonna sit with the common man,
with the common folk.
Wow.
I got tickets in the 300 level, way in the back.
A normie.
I'm not going up there. They have a Bud Bar, right?
I don't know.
They have like an area in the south, like behind the basket. It kind of doubles as like a beer garden. It's kind of this open space.
I'm
gonna hang out back there.
They gotta get with the times.
I'm gonna hang out back there.
Yeah.
Then I'm gonna hurl insults at all of our local media who are sitting right over there as well. All right, Josh has the odd news when we return on 1620 The Zone.
And now we've reached the point in the show where Josh Odson reads the peculiar, the bizarre, the comical, the odd news with Odd Son. Odd news, Odd Son. See what we did there? The odd news with Oddson.
Texter Adam writes in.
Hi, Adam.
Sorry, Hap. I do not believe that PBA has Happer's hidey hole, which I forgot that's what people were calling my perch.
That's right.
At the Chai.
I call it the Sexual Performance Pavilion.
I haven't checked to see if they threw up sexual performance behind my on the board while I'm doing that anymore this year. No, they probably have to have a sponsor up there because it's sponsored.
Sure.
They got Great Clips hanging out up there.
Went to Great Clips on Christmas Eve.
Really?
Yeah.
They give you a good do?
Oh, yeah. He said as he's wearing a hat.
But you cut your own hair, don't you?
Well, I always miss a spot on my cowlick, remember?
And so you decided...
and I said, this is Christmas Eve. I'm going to church. I'm seeing family.
Instead of just simply not missing the spot, you went to Great Clips?
That's right, Connor.
I love... Great job by you.
There's one very
We
close.
love the economy.
There's one very close to the station. I had to be tethered to this board on Christmas Eve, so I ducked out and got myself a haircut.
Good job by you, Josh.
That's right.
All right. By the way, Sam writes in on Twitter.
Hi, Sam.
Oh man, the show that they announced the show the day they announced that Foley's coming back.
Ooh, big Foley overreaction.
Yeah, that'd be a fun one.
That's a word.
Fun.
Sure.
Fun. Sports action. All right, Josh, what do we got today?
Connor, I'm going to give you another celebrity quiz. If I say the name Emma Roberts.
Yes, Emma Roberts. She was, yep, she was.
I know what movie you're going to cite.
You know what movie
from.
I'm going to say. We're the Millers.
That's right.
That movie's awesome.
It is.
Shut up.
No, I own it. It's a great movie.
It's a great movie. What else is she in? Harry Potter?
No.
That's Emma Watson.
She's the niece of Julia Roberts.
Yeah, she seems good.
Yeah. She's a bit of a baseball card collector, which
baseball.
I did not know until yesterday when she revealed on Instagram she's the owner now. She pulled it out of a pack. It's called a pull.
Yeah, I know.
1 of 1 rookie card for Orioles second baseman Jackson Holliday. Roberts posed with a chrome gilded Topps card featuring Holliday in his batting stance on her IG story with the caption, "The face of pulling my most coveted 1 of 1."
So that was the one that she really wanted?
That was, I think it was
Young
more of
baby
an
Jackson?
excitement of pulling a 1 of 1.
Okay. Wow. 1 of 1.
Yeah.
I mean, she said it. This is the only one.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
I'd be excited if I had a 101 of anything.
And I think that's where her excitement comes from as well.
So she's a baseball card collector. Wow.
I did not know this about her.
Emma Roberts. Cool.
Yes. Connor Happer Show. Seal of approval.
That's right. Thank you, Emma.
It's coveted.
You're the Millers is great, by the way.
Yes, it is. Everyone
what
should watch
a
it.
movie.
Did you see the sinkhole downtown?
I heard about it.
Okay. 16th and Farnham.
So big truck fell in the sinkhole.
That's right. A garbage truck crashed into a sinkhole.
But
yesterday morning,
the sinkhole wasn't it coned off? The garbage truck just made an error.
The driver,
they knew it was a sinkhole. They had it coned off, and then the truck driver just went into the hole.
It appears as though that is one of the possibilities for what happened.
All right, Mr. Political Josh.
The most likely of scenarios there, but we don't know how a garbage truck fell into a 10 to 12 foot deep sinkhole with a number of utility lines, power lines, and gas lines nearby. Officials briefly shut off power in the area, including one of Omaha's most beloved eateries.
That's right.
They removed the garbage truck. It went as smoothly as possible, officials said. This is not the first time a sinkhole has appeared in that area, as you said. Our beloved mayor.
It just went. It just the front is right in there.
Right in there. Just.
Are sinkholes something that I need to worry about? Because I keep seeing these sinkholes and then the cars and the destruction that they got, and it just feels like it's so random it could happen anywhere. What happened if I got sinkholed right now?
So is it that they're happening more or that we have more cameras and media than ever before?
Interesting. I don't know. I haven't thought about that. I was led to believe that they are happening more. But you might be right.
Seems like they are.
You might be right.
Our beloved mayor on Facebook from
is this
wherever.
She loves doing Facebook.
She loves a Facebook post.
She loves Facebook.
First of all,
she's a mother.
Here are the current facts about the sinkhole in the alley just west of 16th and Farnham. City engineers and inspectors say a number of factors could have caused the pavement to collapse. While the investigation to determine the cause is underway, our sewer maintenance technicians are removing the pavement to determine the full extent of the void. They will assess the sewer lines and manholes. Until further notice, South 16th Street between Harney and Farnham will be closed.
Does she do a press release along with the Facebook status?
I don't know. That's a good question. Sometimes, yes. I don't know if this particular instance it deemed a press release.
I miss the days on Facebook when the first word had to be is.
Is, yes. I can always...
Gene Stothert is, here are the current facts about the sinkhole.
I can always tell on my time hub each day, okay, that's a year where you had to say is, because I stuck to that format, because that was the format.
We have a tweet.
A tweet?
From Matt. Matt
McMaster?
No. Matt is a geologist. Geologist Matt.
Who listens to this show?
The official geologist of the Connor Happer show.
Well, okay.
Sorry, I just signed you up for that, Matt.
No, I'm sure he loves it.
In Nebraska, no, you do not have to worry about sinkholes.
Oh, okay. I thought there'd be some
That's it.
evidence or facts behind that.
Don't have to worry about sinkholes.
Okay, good. One less thing to worry about.
Even though there's a big trash truck in one right now. But Josh, I have to tell you this. Speaking of trash trucks, I made one of the greatest mistakes of my young life last week.
Did you not take the trash out?
That's right. The week before Christmas.
And then you got.
And I already have an excess amount of trash right now anyway because of my child. And so there's child and there's Christmas. And then I had to wait a week and an extra day because everything gets pushed back a day with New Year's.
That's right.
I didn't get my trash taken out until yesterday morning, and it was just hard. It was hard to be in. It was a big mistake by me.
How often do you empty the diaper genie?
Oh, a lot.
Okay.
There's a lot of that.
Sure.
A lot of that.
And then you got the normal trash.
I might need to invest in big dumpster just all the time. What if I had big dumpster?
You can get a second trash can. I don't know what it costs, but there is a cost attached to it.
Yeah.
But there'd be a cost attached to a dumpster as well.
I know, but it'd be cool to have a dumpster.
I'm sure neighbors would love that.
Yeah, they would.
We go to Charlotte for the final story of the odd news today. It is one of those days the college football honks love. It is Duke's Mayo Bowl day.
Mm-hmm.
And we have
PJ Flex in it.
We have the inside scoop on how 5 gallons of mayo gets dumped on a head coach's head.
Well, it's pretty simple. Gravity.
No. Staff members begin pouring 5 one-gallon containers of mayonnaise into a Gatorade cooler at the start of the fourth quarter. Then they take turns briskly stirring the mayo for 25 minutes with a large wooden stick.
Also, they have to liquefy the mayonnaise?
Yeah, that makes it more pourable than regular mayonnaise, says Rebecca Lupesco, the brand director for Duke's Mayo. Some people think we add water. There's no water added. It is
Don't put it on the internet that we add water.
It's straight mayonnaise. We just stir it for 25 minutes.
Wow. That's even more disgusting somehow than just regular mayonnaise.
Right? Something. I mean, we could see PJ Fleck doused with mayo today.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that's all that's interesting from this story.
Is
how the mayo becomes pourable.
I'm just glad that they finally addressed the allegations that they were watering down their mayo.
Yeah, that it's important to, get the facts out there. I don't know, it might be too little too late, but now we have the facts.
We do. And we're happy for that.
Yeah.
Josh, thank you.
Thank you, Connor.
That is the odd news. We're coming back with the noon hour. Sipple will join us at the bottom of the hour. We'll talk about how Matt Rhule has quietly shifted the entire Nebraska football program in the span of a couple weeks. We'll explain next on 1620 The Zone.
Let's get back to the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
All right, welcome back. Connor Happer, Josh Hodson with you on the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone and on 1620thezone.com. I keep wanting to go to the refrigerator and eat my Uncrustable, but I keep getting distracted.
Oh, okay.
During the break. Well, I mean, 2 breaks ago, there was popcorn.
Mm-hmm.
So I was chomping on that. And then this past break, I was reading text messages and emails from you all, of course.
Oh, wow.
Like John, who
Hi,
emails
John.
into the show on the Equitable Bank Zone inbox, Connor at 1620thezone.com. Is geologist Matt the smartest listener of the Connor Happer Show? Now, I don't want to, once again, paint with too broad of a brush here, but does being a geologist, what does that mean? Does that mean you're smart? I'm not saying anything about this. I'm just asking a question.
I would say there's not
it's a cool
lot of,
title.
like,
there's not a lot of geologists.
There's not a lot of like doctors and dignitaries and
But are geologists in the doctors and dignitaries category?
Well, no, I'm saying those people aren't listening to this show. Not a lot of rocket scientists tuning into the Connor Happer Show, I imagine.
Oh, we have doctors. I think.
Like
many
medical doctors or like
many fine doctors.
Okay.
Doctors of many things.
I
don't hear from them very often.
Okay.
Maybe Matt is the most dignified person to tweet at the show.
Isn't Randy Marsh from South Park a geologist?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
He is. I believe that is Randy's backstory.
Yes.
Thought this was America.
Before he became a weed farmer.
That's right. Diggity. So I don't know. I'm not sure where they, like, if you ranked the most dignified professions, How far down the list would radio host be?
Oh,
very far down.
Like 3 steps above the bottom.
How far down would geologist be?
Certainly top half, right?
Top half. And is geologist in the top half of dignified professions?
Poll
Yes.
question?
Yes.
Okay.
Chris writes in on email.
Hi, Chris.
Dude plays with rocks. How smart do you have to be?
Oh, no.
Charles writes in, geologist out here catching strays from Happer this morning. No, I'm not. I'm not.
He likes our show.
I didn't say anything about geologists. I didn't say anything. I said they are pretty dignified. Top half of dignified.
Poll question up at Happer Show: is geologist in the top half of dignified profession?
Yeah, you missed that. It's too late now. You can't take that away.
Sure, I can.
No, God, don't. I hate deleting stuff.
But it's been 2 seconds. Nobody voted.
All right. Steve writes in.
Hi, Steve.
Poll question: do we have doctors? Do we have doctors who listen to the show? Are there any doctor? If you're a doctor, vote yes on the poll question. You could do that as well. And Platcat writes in, this is an interesting one.
Hi, Platcat.
What's the most common profession of listeners of the Connor Happer Show?
That's a great question. What would you guess it is? Now, we're on in the middle of the day, 10 to 2.
Yeah, we're going specific to us.
So it's not like...
I mean, it's probably like...
teacher or
I want it to be like construction workers. You know, I hope that we could get that kind of reach. You know, because if you're putting on a boom box or something like that, really listen to these guys. And then we start conversation within the construction site. Maybe there's that.
Gas station attendant.
A lot of people who work from home probably, but that could be so many jobs these days. You could do anything from home.
Data entry.
Other media people.
We are your favorite sports show's favorite show.
Other sports talk radio hosts who work at this station, hopefully. I don't know. I don't even know what Platcat's profession is. What do you think Platcat does? Is he a professional gambler by now?
Well, no, he retired off that
Indiana bet?
That check he won from us.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, he won. Maybe he's a professional game picker. Mr. Rick says delivery driver. I hope that we can corner the market on delivery drivers a little bit. Jesse says mailmen, mail people.
That's right.
Mail people. And then city workers in their vehicles. People in cars is basically what we're getting back. Old man Doug,
OMD,
says bankers.
I don't know. Doug.
Particularly bankers who answer the phone in the first ring.
I mean, that's one of our favorite listeners.
But Cody says,
hi, Cody.
I would like to submit my name for the dumbest person that listens and interacts. All right.
Well, someone had to take the mantle.
That title is yours. All right. We get a tweet from Husker Thunder.
Hi, Husker Thunder.
I listen to you on the construction site every day.
Wow. Thank you, Husker Thunder.
That's what I'm talking about.
That is like, I know it sounds like we're joking. That's really cool. Because those guys aren't fiddling with the radio every no, I don't like that topic.
TSL
I don't like that
is
song.
way up there.
Yeah.
So,
and everyone's got to agree on something.
Yeah, I just hope that we could spark a conversation amongst those people. That's good. This is good. I'm fired up about this. Have you ever been driving down the road and then maybe this is probably like in the summer or when the weather is nice and then you pull up next to someone and they're listening to 1620 The Zone? Has that ever happened to you? Because I want it to happen to me so bad, but I don't think it's ever happened.
I have been walking around a gas station.
Like, what if the person was just bumping 1620 The Zone? It was Josh laughing. You know?
That's why Josh laughed.
That would be the dream. I would love that.
I have been walking around a gas station and heard like a commercial I recorded, and I do not care for it.
You don't like hearing your own voice, Josh?
No.
Come on.
You'd think I'd be used to it after all these decades in the biz.
Come on.
But no.
You got to like it.
You
like it a little bit, don't you?
I like that I have accomplished something that is in the public space. Like I like that. I don't want to see it. I don't want to acknowledge it. I don't want to hear it.
Hearing your voice, I heard my voice, or the fact that 1620 was on like at the ballpark during the College World Series this year in the elevators and in the press box and stuff like that. That was a little jarring because then I thought, wait a minute, I was on here and I probably said something that was not smart at all. And that means other people heard it. But then I thought, well, I always do that. Other people are always listening, right? There's always someone listening out there. And so I have to, yeah. And so they're judging me all the time.
We're not allowed to say how many.
Many.
For some reason.
The answer is many. Rob.
Hi, Rob.
Long haul truck driver here. Okay. Shout out to my long haul truck drivers, the Albuquerque truck drivers, as Sipple refers to them as.
They keep the world moving.
Mm-hmm. And text from the 202.
Hi, 202.
I'm out delivering right now and would absolutely love to somehow work from home today. Yeah, I actually that's probably the one job you can't do from home. You either don't have a job or you do it. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, the drones will take your job, but then you don't have the job. Then you're not a delivery driver.
We're against that here at the Connor Happer Show.
We are way against that. We are absolutely against that. I like when the delivery driver, I like when it's the same delivery driver over and over and over again.
Yep.
And then we build a rapport. I installed a Ring camera over the break.
Oh, you did?
A Ring doorbell over the break. So now I get to see the delivery people.
Okay.
And I get to, I could even go over the microphone. I could say, hey, Brian, thanks.
Hey, Brian, I'm in the can. Just drop it off.
Yeah, just leave it there. I'll sign for it later. You don't need to sign for much anymore.
I'll get you on the next one.
All right. Hey, we're back. Hey. Thanks for telling us your professions, by the way. It's appreciated. And thank you all for listening in 2024 and continued in 2025. Sipple will join us at the bottom of the hour. Are we going to talk about how Matt Rhule has kind of quietly, completely shifted his program from the initial vision of when he got here? Are we going to talk about this, Josh? Well, I suppose it's up to me, isn't it?
Yes.
So the answer to that question is yes. We are going to talk about it. Think about it. From a football perspective, it really looks like they're going to have a chance to have a pretty good offense next year. And this is not measured in how good or how bad you are, but it's about the approach. He has handed the keys to Dana Holgorsen. He has handed the keys, the spare keys to Dylan Raiola. There will be more pace. There will be more tempo. There will be more juice. I think that really speaks to the approach that they now have. I think you saw a little bit of that in the bowl game.
Yes, I was just going to say that.
Initially, I kind of thought they would be the kind of offense that would just make you go sleepy sleep. That's what I kind of thought at first. It's like they're going to be a lull you to sleep offense. They're going to go slow. They're going to make 100 billion substitutions. They're going to snap the ball with 6 seconds left of the play clock. They're going to try and line up and block you. And if they got to punt, they got to punt. If they got to kick a field goal, they got to kick a field goal. And we're going to trust our defense and do that whole thing. And we're going to literally choke the life out of this football game. I no longer think they are going to be that. I don't even think there's a chance of that now. Dana Holgorsen is running your offense.
It's not a style.
Unencumbered.
Yeah.
He is point blank running your offense. You got a 5-star quarterback. You have productive wide receivers that you've gotten into transfer from other places, and explosive playmakers. Like, you need an offensive line. And that's the thing that's lagged behind. And you might need a more dynamic running back, or to add another running back to the room. But this is not going to be a plodding, make you fall asleep offense anymore. So from a football perspective, that is quite different from 2 years ago.
It's going to be a little bit of go.
Absolutely.
In that offense.
And I think this program needs that desperately. What about from a roster standpoint? They have brought in several transfers.
Yeah. How are these receivers? These good? These guys good?
I think so. But Nick Banks and Air were solid. Not great. I think Nebraska has higher expectations for this group, and they have a wide receiver coach who has a different approach on things, and they have an offensive coordinator who has a much different approach on things. But think about it from a roster standpoint. They've brought in several transfers. Many of the young players who were kind of supposed to be spending the last 2 years in the background developing and now in year 3 blooming, have left. They're gone. When you think about all the wide receivers, the 4 local products that have all left in the last month or so, Malachi Coleman and Jalen Lloyd and Isaiah McMorris and Davon Hall, and maybe some of those guys were part of the plans and maybe they weren't, but they were supposed to be kind of, hey, develop, and then you're going to be a really productive player for us. They have all left because they've kind of been recruited over a little bit. I mean, look at what they've got in at the wide receiver position now. Wide receivers, defensive linemen, this has happened to. When you talk about James Williams, who's been developing, not so much behind the scenes, but developing, left out the door, reshaped that position group as well. A linebacker who was budding into a star, Mekhi Bayer, he was coming along nicely. He has left the pro. Like that was a lot of those guys that I just mentioned, those were the initial building blocks for Matt Rhule. They were young players a couple of years ago at Princeville. They have worked their way into a little bit of playing time. And now this was supposed to be the year, because you kept all those seniors around over the last couple of years. This is supposed to be the year 2025 where they really bloomed and they were given keys. Instead, there's been coaching staff changes. They have been recruited over in a lot of cases, especially at that wide receiver spot. Someone, I think it was Sam a couple weeks ago, Sam McEwen. A few weeks ago, he made the comparison to what Fred Hoiberg did, how he reshaped himself. And I kind of brushed it off at first. I was like, I don't know. I just don't. It's not a one-to-one. And it's definitely not a one-to-one. But it sort of does feel like that. This program feels very different from what it was 2 years ago. And like I said, I think that's welcome. And if it's an admission of it just didn't go how I thought it was going to go, then so be it. I don't care. I think that was one thing that the previous staff had a tough time, at many previous staffs, honestly. They were so stuck to their ways, and they were attached to an offense or a style or whatever it might be. I don't think it's bad that Nebraska has reshaped itself as far as how it approaches the game. It's obviously worked out for Fred. I think the thing that Rhule and Hoiberg have in common is that they do seem to be really good at being the head coach. Meaning what I just said. They're not necessarily attached to the style. They they know the correct people to put in charge of what. Delegation is important. Now, Rhule, we're still a little shaky on him as far as the in-game stuff is concerned. Don't think there's much concern about that with Fred. But I think Rhule is really good at seeing the big picture. And that means the picture around him. How the college football game is changing. The advantages that you could take advantage of, the scene around here. And the Big Ten Conference and your opponents on your schedule and the people around you. Like, I think Rhule is really good at seeing the big picture. And I think Hoiberg is too. And it's really fascinating what each of them have done. But make no mistake about it. I don't think it's something that should be glossed over. I mean, this is Matt Rhule. This is Nebraska football reincarnated from what it was 2 years ago. This was not the vision.
I think Matt Rhule is, graduating to a CEO style approach before our very eyes. I think he got here and thought, I'm going to have my hands in everything. And then he like, oh, game's kind of changing around me. I'm going to concede some control in some areas. I'm going to delegate.
I know where I'm strong.
Uh-huh.
I know where I'm maybe not so strong.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to take a step back, see where the game evolves to.
Yeah.
And try and be ready for it.
Yeah. And I think there were like everybody has a certain idea, vision when you take a new job, and especially, it's an unfamiliar job was an unfamiliar job for Rhule when he got here, and it's like, okay, we're gonna try and play out the plan. But it was a thing that he did when he was at Baylor. Like, how they rebuilt it at Baylor was not exactly how they did it at Temple. And so I think that's one thing that really works for Rhule. He is a bit of he's a chameleon, right? He can adjust, he can adapt. I think that is a really, really important piece of it. And so when this happens, and when he does have a extreme makeover Nebraska football home edition here,
move that bus.
I kind of trust him. I don't implicitly trust him, but I kind of trust him, right? If when Frost tried to do this, it felt like he was doing something so foreign to him that he was never going to fully embrace it.
No,
I feel like Rhule really is capable of embracing what he needs to in order to get. Now, there's no guarantee that it works.
Right.
But at least he's going to go all the way, right? At least he's going to go all the way in, and at least he has the ability to see the big picture, meaning here's what I've done wrong. Here's what I think is working for us. We're still going to do a lot of this. We might not do so much of this. We're going to do more of that. I think he has a really good sense of that stuff. Once again, doesn't mean it's going to work.
Nobody at media days, though, is going to grab a microphone and go, you guys, Matt Rhule is really, really sad. I don't think you understand how sad my coach is.
No, not his approach on things. No, he's not going to get sad that he gets play calling duties ripped away from him and is forced to being a CEO. No.
And of course, if none of this works, in 2 years, we'll do a radio show where it's like, well, he should have just picked a way. Should have just picked one way and done it.
Yeah. I think, if we're being honest, we talked about this throughout this year. Maybe, gosh, I don't know. Maybe he has no regrets, but I think they should have probably made swifter changes when they got here. But remember what his thing was. Is like, I think there was a lot of stuff that Frost was doing right, and I want to stand by these players, and this is how I want to do it. And I think that some pieces of that have held them back this year. The older guys, as impactful as some of them were, I just think the whole mental hurdle was really, really, really difficult for them to get over it. I don't know if it's gone, or I don't know where that stands going into 2025, but you have, a wave of players that has gone out and a wave of new players that have come in now. And that is one way to do it. If you feel like you have some sort of a issue in your program as it pertains to the mentality or the culture or whatever it might be, the quickest way to fix it is just to erase the board. And they didn't do that at all.
Hamstrung the program in a couple different ways.
I think so. Yeah. But maybe if you asked Rhule, he'd be like, well, no, I think we're right on track. I mean, look, we won 6 games, and then we won 5 games, and then we won 7 games, and we went to a bowl, and this is usually the year where you take a jump. But this doesn't look like his third year at Temple and Baylor, in the sense that when they were at Temple and Baylor, I mean, seriously, this might be a good research project, but they had a lot of freshmen, young players who they just threw in there. They're just like, we're clearing this deck. We have young people. We're going to bring in these new players. And obviously there's instances where you have older guys in selective areas, but we're developing and playing on the fly so that when our third year rolls around, these guys are experienced and they know exactly what they're doing. And it's those guys. These will not be the same guys that Matt Rhule started with as freshmen here at Nebraska. I mean, there's not very many of those guys at all really on the roster. I'm looking at the class of what would be juniors next year. You have Emmett Johnson, I think. Once again, this is all I think. Janiron Bonner, Justin Evans, Cam Lenhart. I mean, that's and then seniors. Fedoni, Heinrich Harburg. Is Turner Corcoran still going to be here? I don't know. Teddy Prohaska, Javen Wright. Period. That.
Okay.
Yeah, period. That's kind of it. There's not many of them. So I think that's something to note. And I don't have a criticism of it. I just think it's something to note. This is different.
Well, the game was different when he was at Baylor and Temple.
It was. And there's definitely more options at your fingertips these days if you're a head coach trying to change a roster over. That's for sure. Smitty Werben Jaegerman Jensen writes in on YouTube.
I don't know that that's your Christian name.
Smitty Werben Jaegerman Jensen. I work in Lincoln a lot and often listen to the distorted audio of you guys on the radio. And there's a lot of way to get the clearer audio. But cheers to that. Also, where's Gage Stenger? He's still on there. He was on the list, but he hasn't really played yet, so I didn't include him on that list of names. Do you think Matt and Fred hang out? Probably pretty busy.
I bet they have a time or two.
I bet they have a nice relationship. Mm-hmm. And
I'll come over and drink some of your wine there, Fred. Yeah.
I could see Matt Rhule as a manager of an Applebee's.
Oh, yeah.
I think Matt Rhule is the kind of guy you put him in a lot of managerial positions and he would do actually quite well with them. I don't know that I could say that about a lot of his predecessors.
Imagine a Scott Frost ran Applebee's.
He would just be pissed that he's not at the other Applebee's.
What do you mean Carla called out today? Oh, my God, I can't do this.
I can't teach these kids.
I need a drink.
How do I reach these kids? All right. So a little bit of this with Sipple coming back after this and plenty of other things. Also, how's his life? How's the bank today?
Yeah.
Coming back with Steve Sipple of Husker Online next on 1620 The Zone.
Steve Sipple,
The conversation gets even more uncomfortable, okay?
Omaha!
Steve Sipple on the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
All right, we're joined now on the 42 Degrees, the Source hotline by our dear, dear friend, Steve Sipple of HuskerOnline.com. Sipple, good afternoon. How are you?
Connor, fine. It's good to be with you. How are you guys doing?
Good. How'd you ring in the new year the other night?
I was probably in bed at 10, I think.
Mm-hmm.
What was I doing? I just got back, I think.
Oh, yeah, the bowl game.
Yeah.
Well, you guys stayed like 4 extra days, or what happened?
No, I didn't. I was still wiped out, though.
That's okay.
It seems like I had to do a bunch of stuff. God, I don't know about you, but all the days sort of run together, and I can't even think about what was going on. But I was really wiped out that day.
How was your trip to New York?
It was great. It was fun. It was a great experience. It's obviously, I've only been to New York. That was only the second time I've ever been to the city. So it's not like everything was novel to me still. And it's just a good thing to see. I wouldn't ever want to stay there for an extended period, especially if it was on my dime. But going as a work trip and seeing it and then covering the bowl game at Yankee Stadium it was incredible. Incredible.
So now that we have a little bit of hindsight for the game and from the game anyway, what do you think Nebraska takes from not only the win, but the players that he was able to get in the game, the experience in general? Like, how beneficial do you think that experience can be for them going forward?
I would think hugely beneficial. I'd like to think that. I don't see. I really don't see how it couldn't be beneficial. It was the offense and defense played well. It was a hard fought game. Boston College is tough. I mean, they're not great, and they're without probably their two best players. I'd say one for sure. But still, it was a hard fought win. They had to be disciplined. They had to be disciplined in the run up because that's what you have to do in bowl games. Your program, there has to be a measure of discipline. And there was. And like Rhule said, they got to get used to this and get used to December, practicing in December, practicing well in December, and being focused for an opponent, and then playing well in the game. So all of that is very meaningful. It's incredibly meaningful. So yeah, and I thought they showed well. I mean, obviously, you guys have talked a lot about the special teams. We all have.
Yeah.
There's that part of the conversation, but there's a lot. Like the defense was at times exceptional in that game, and I'd say at times the offense was too.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about Raiola, and I felt like over the last, I mean, I guess you could probably correlate it with when Holgorsen took over the reins as the offensive coordinator. Although I don't know if it's directly attached to that, but I think we saw like a more emotional version of Dylan, like a fiery version, especially with the guts to pull those footballs at the end of that game and try to make a couple plays with his legs and get a first down later in the game. What do you take from, like, I feel like that's not an insignificant thing that Dylan Raiola now feels comfortable enough to sort of show a little bit more of the personality and do all of those things heading into his sophomore year?
Probably indicative of some more confidence.
Yeah.
And a sense of the team being his. I mean, at least in the bowl game, I hadn't thought about this. This is why I like coming on your show and other shows. I hadn't thought about it, but that demonstrative element that you're talking about came after Rhule declared that he's the quarterback in 2025, that this is his offense. And I mean, I'm sure that was good for Dylan to hear. You could say, well, wouldn't he know that? I guess, but to hear the leader verbalize it is meaningful. I would think.
Yeah.
So yeah, I do think that it's significant that he's showing that showing more fire, because I think it's indicative of confidence. That's how I read it.
Yeah, and well, we do the thing with like the freshman mistakes and all that stuff, and a lot of times we talk about that directly with performance and how you play. But I the confidence piece of it is huge to me, and him getting to the point where I think he feels comfortable enough around his teammates to be a little bit more of a vocal leader. Like I thought, we're now starting to see the real version of Dylan Raiola. Like I think that, along with the combination of him and Dana Holgorsen and wide receivers and all that stuff, is a reason to be pretty excited about next season with him.
Yeah, it's got to carry into now. I mean, it's this, like Rhule talked about it. January, not right now, but pretty quick here, all those kids will start reconvening, and it's really important. And as you get later in this month and then heading into February and March, there's a lot of activity with the quarterback and receivers, a lot of meaningful activity. And that's how these teams get to where they're, you see these very precise timing routes. The timing's exquisite. That doesn't just happen, because you practice well in the month of August. That's an all year round thing. So it is really big. I mean, Dylan, there's a lot on his shoulders. I don't like, I think about it a little differently nowadays that these kids are getting paid. He's a pro. I mean, he's really a pro.
Yeah.
At a young age, though. So I always kind of battle that in my head. He is a pro. He's getting paid like a pro. So he's got to kind of act like a pro, even though he's still pretty young. He's still got a baby face. But now his expectations in 2025 will change. He doesn't want a season where he throws 13 touchdown passes in 2025. It should be 26 touchdown passes in 2025. It should be something like that. The ratio's got to get better. Everything's got to get better, but it starts now, and then it's this. Also, there's this. Now it's squarely on his shoulders. He's the guy no matter what, and there's a lot that goes into that conversation. But yeah, I'm pretty optimistic. I'm optimistic because I think the need, there was a huge need to get better in the receiver room, and I think they have.
Yeah. What about special teams? What is your best guess on what happens? Because Rhule said it's going to be a bit of an overhaul here. What's your best guess on what happens with that unit and how it gets better?
Well, I mean, they brought in a new punter from Washington.
Yes.
That's already.
McAllister.
Is it Jack McAllister?
Yes.
Jack McAllister. They brought in a long snapper. So that's a start. They brought in a returner. I think Andrew Marshall would be a leading candidate to be a returner. I wonder about Hardly Gilmore too, the receiver. Another receiver from Kentucky. He returned punts in high school and was good doing it. So they probably have some more options there. That part's got to get better. Now as far as what they do as the leadership position, I'm very interested because I think you'd agree. I think it's very evident to the public that there's an upgraded offensive coordinator with Dana Holgorsen.
Indeed.
It's very exciting. It's clearly an upgrade. And then I think we'll find out that it's very possible there's an upgraded defensive coordinator. I believe that. I think that I'm really excited about those coordinators. But what would concern me as a Nebraska fan is that the special teams will drag back the entire operation. We've seen it at Nebraska. We've seen an operation that was pretty good. Well, for instance, with Bill Callahan, but the defense dragged it back. That was a there's 3 units. In that case, it was 1 unit that dragged back the whole operation. I don't want to see a repeat of it. So whatever Rhule decides, I mean, it's very. I look at it very pragmatically. I think they can be pretty good on offense. I think it's pretty clear that they can be good on defense. Don't have a unit drag the whole thing back. And if you do have a unit drag the whole thing back, everybody's job is in jeopardy at that point.
Yeah.
So don't mess around with it. I'm very interested to see, and I don't know. I can't tell you as I sit here right now. If I'm being maybe, let's put it this way. No, I'm not even going to get it. I don't want to get into conjecture. I don't know right now.
Sipple, we were just talking about how Rhule has sort of reshaped it a little bit from the initial vision a couple years ago, and how not only in the style of football in which they play, specifically we're talking about offense, but also the roster and how you develop players, which they still want to do, but they've brought in a lot of transfers at this point. It feels, or how different does it feel than 2 years ago? And what are some of the major, I guess, tenets of that, and how it's different from when Rhule first got here?
Well, it just seemed like when he first got here, the conversation was more, we're going to build it the conventional way.
Yep.
But as time has elapsed, it's become fairly clear that it's harder to do that. Rhule had that very important moment where he said, when he got hired, Ted Carter, the former president, and Tom Osborne, the former coach, said that they want to have a developmental program. I'm not sure you can now. I don't know if at least not in the way we came to know developmental programs. So that, and it seems like the conversation with Rhule has shifted. I'd have to go back and look at all the quotes, which may be a decent exercise, but he has shifted some in the way he's thinking, because he's had this shift in the way he's thinking, and they are. I wouldn't say they're heavy in the portal, but it's let's look at it this way.
They've recruited over some younger developmental type of guys.
Yeah, that's a great thank you, Connor, for helping the old man. That's exactly right. So I never know what to think anymore. Jalen Lloyd is a very good example of this. He's a developmental type receiver. He needed to develop into a player that would be his best as a junior and a senior. He's just an example. I'm just using Jalen as an example. But coaches can't really wait anymore. It just feels like if there's that type of player, and there's a player like Dane Key or an Isaiah Hunter that are available, you just have to go get them.
Yeah.
And then you got to push those developmental guys back a little bit. And if those guys aren't willing to wait it out, then you move on. Some will be willing to wait it out. Some are willing to wait it out, but it can't be easy when you see these guys coming in. But I would say this too: both you mentioned the receiver room and the secondary, both need to be enhanced. They do. And we don't do a good job. It feels like we don't do a great job around here of just calling it like it is. And I don't do a great job of it. But I know now, in hindsight, Holgerson came in and said, we gotta do better at the skill positions. We have to be better at receiver. And so look what they've done.
Yeah.
They brought in Hunter and Key and Gilmore. And I wouldn't be surprised. Well, they can't all three start, but they all can three be in the top five, and they will be.
Yeah. All right, Sipple. Big basketball game tomorrow. Are you excited?
Very. I would classify myself as very excited. It's a big game, obviously, in the season, because you got to hold home court. It's against the top, it's an 11th ranked team. It's a tough team. It's a challenge for Fred's team because of the way it plays. It's going to be up. They're going to be up in your face, so to speak, and it's a great defensive team. There's a lot of reasons it's intriguing. But also the key probably is it's the start of a really hard 5-game stretch, and you want to get off on a good foot on that.
All right, Sip. Thanks for taking the time as always. Enjoy your weekend. Talk to you soon.
Thank you, guys.
All right, Steve Sipple of HuskerOnline.com. Basketball Sipple made some appearances at some basketball games this year. That's how you know they're cooking over there.
He's excited.
Yeah. Mick Cronin, by the way, said yesterday that remember William Kyle?
I don't. I'm sorry.
So William Kyle out of Bellevue West and then of South Dakota State transferred to UCLA.
Yes, this all rings
this
a bell
year.
now,
One of the best athletes, I think, in the country in college basketball. He will likely not play in the game tomorrow, which is kind of sad for him because I'm sure he was looking forward to a bit of a homecoming.
Sure.
But Cronin said that he was hopeful that he would be able to go at some point next week, but it doesn't look like he will be out that long. But unfortunately, he just gets into the situation where he misses the wrong game. Sad for him. All right, we'll be back. Finish out the hour when we return on the Connor Happer Show with the most watched television broadcasts of 2024.
Us? That's us? We did that?
Yeah, we were in the top 5.
Wow.
We were right behind the debate.
All right. Look at us.
Yeah, that Tuesday show a few weeks ago just really blew it out for some reason. It was really good. Back after this on 1620 The Zone.
let's get back to the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
Here comes the clown.
Josh, in front of me, I have a list of the 100 most watched United States television broadcasts of 2024, a year that is now dead.
Modern Family.
R.I.P. No episodes of Modern Family on here.
Big Bang Theory.
No, the Thursday night sitcoms on NBC, they've been erased from the list long ago.
NCIS.
Basically, what we're dealing with here is many sporting events, including, I believe it's 73 NFL games out of the top one. This is anything. Several college football games, one college basketball game, which we'll talk about here momentarily, might not be the college basketball game you think it was. And then 16 political events, which this was an election year after all. This is, of course, this is down from 2023 when there wasn't any news or politics programming really to watch, and 93 out of the top 100 were NFL games.
Down year for the NFL?
Down year for the NFL, but it had to compete with the election, which it still
and the Olympics,
which it still beat. Super Bowl LVIII, which was a 58 last year, yeah. 127 million viewers. That's
incredible.
That's all of America.
Yeah.
Almost doubled up the second presidential debate, which was the second most watched thing on TV this year.
Really, America?
Yeah.
Really?
Why?
Why are you watching that?
Why are you watching the debate?
Yeah.
That's, I guess, a fair question. I thought you were going to ask why didn't more people watch the debate than football?
No.
You're going to take the politics high road.
No.
67 million people watch the debate. 124 million people watch the Super Bowl.
That tracks. And Taylor Swift was there. People forget.
Then there was another debate, the first debate, which was in the 5 spot. And before that, and in between the two debates, the NFC Championship game and the AFC Championship game.
Sure.
So the top 5 was the Super Bowl, the AFC and NFC Championship game, and 2 debates.
2 debates between 3 people, right?
Was
there a changeover?
No, these were both presidential debates.
Well, yeah, but there were 2 different candidates for one side of the aisle.
Oh, you're right. So the Biden one.
So that's probably why the second one was so high.
The Biden one was 5, and then the Kamala one was 2.
I gotta check out this Kamala.
Look at that. Kamala's worth 17 million viewers. The Kamala bump.
The Kamala bump.
People were calling it that.
Those 17 million people did not translate to.
Yep. No. Yep. She didn't get enough votes.
Or maybe it did.
Gonna have to get some more votes.
I don't know.
Next time. And it just countless NFL games. The first time that college football makes an appearance,
Nebraska, Colorado.
Number 24, the 110th Rose Bowl. Between Michigan and Alabama.
That was good.
It was a good game. And 27 million people, almost 28 million people watched that game. It was the most watched college football game of the year. That is in front of the national championship, which is the second most watched college football game on this list. Other categories of things that made it in here. So far we've only hit 3 categories of things.
Okay.
Politics, the NFL, and college football.
Mm-hmm.
That takes up each of the top 45 spots on the list.
My goodness.
A couple states of the union, an Oval Office address.
You're watching the State of the Union for.
I think they combine the network. They combine.
Okay.
So it's a giant.
It's
number.
on literally every channel.
Right. Until we get to number 46, which then we get into the entertainment section. The Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade.
Oh, hell yeah.
Still 24 million people watch that stupid parade.
That's an incredible number for what they're getting.
Isn't it awesome?
Huh.
I love America.
I had no idea that. I mean, the people in my life are always like, "Hey, we got to watch the Macy's."
I
parade."
know.
I'm like, why?
I gotta be honest with you. Like, if I'm not doing anything and I think to myself, "Oh yeah, it's Thanksgiving," I will turn on that channel.
Yeah,
I will turn on NBC or whatever.
Because at 9 in the morning on Thanksgiving, there is nothing else on.
100%.
Yeah.
Yep. Then we go back to many more football games and many more political events.
Sure.
Until we get to number 74, the 96th Annual Academy Awards.
Oh, I thought the Oscars were dead.
The Oscars are not dead. They're number 74 on the list.
Oppenheimer, Barbie.
The most watched college basketball game this year comes in at number 76. And it's the only college basketball game on this list.
The only one. Wow.
It is the 2024 NCAA Women's Basketball National Championship.
Women?
Between South Carolina and Iowa. Caitlin Clark. We got to get to that Caitlin Clark thing. And we just did.
Perfection on the other side.
Yes. But Caitlin Clark.
Not perfect.
No, but she was Caitlin Clark.
Lost the game.
She was the most perfect at being Caitlin Clark.
That's right.
Remember, I mean, a year ago, we were talking about Caitlin Clark like every day.
Every day.
Seriously, because she was about to break the record.
Yeah.
And the Nebraska game happened like 11 months ago.
And Bluter Coward did it out. Like, yeah,
Big Ten protocol! Big Ten protocol!
The PM crossover from the day after that was on last week. And I caught that. And
what a great time.
It was hilarious.
What a great time. Okay, so we have hit NFL, college football, politics, and one an entertainment item and one college basketball game so far.
2 entertainment items, the parade.
Sorry,
and
the parade and the Oscars. So how many other categories of things do we have on here? We have the Olympics.
Yes, it was an Olympics year. Simone Biles, Sports Person of the Year at
Night
SI.
2 of the Summer Olympics. 18.5 million people watched it. Now, is that the night that they played the opening ceremonies? I don't know.
Night 2, I imagine, would be the first night of
actual
games.
competition.
Yeah.
Season 1, episode 1 of Tracker.
No way.
83rd. I believe that was on immediately after the Super Bowl.
Yes, because we asked the poll question, did you watch Tracker last night?
Well, 18 million people watched it. Or they kept the channel on anyway.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Which finished just ahead of World Series Game 5 between the Yankees and the Dodgers.
What the hell, America? People leaving the television on.
Episode of Tracker. The Grammys is the last non-football event on here. People still watching the Grammys. 17 million people watching the Grammys.
My wife watches the Grammys every year, and I'm like, I can't do this anymore. I don't know these people. I don't care about these people. Beyonce is not going to win. Stop thinking she's going to.
So I think we have an award to give out, and that is what is the weirdest thing that 18 million people watched this year, and that would be Season 1, Episode 1 of Tracker. Congratulations. You've won a major award.
Tracker.
Yeah.
Just because they left the TV on.
Andy says they watched Tracker because all those people misplaced the remote and thought he could find it for them. The Tracker? He's going to find it, right?
Now, there is a...
What?
After the Super Bowl this year.
Yeah, what's going on after the Super Bowl this year? Which is on Fox, by the way?
That is correct.
Tom Brady.
Tom Brady. The Season 3
And then he's going to quit, by the way, and go be the full-time owner of the Raiders.
He took Fox's money to buy into an NFL team and is going to flip the Raiders for profit.
Genius.
Season 3 premiere of The Floor with Rob Lowe. It's a game show.
Oh, God. It's going to be Rob Lowe.
He's going to wear that NFL hat to the Super Bowl. I guarantee it.
100%. So many crowd shots of Rob Lowe during the Super Bowl this year. Damn it.
Next year, the Winter Olympics will follow the
Okay. That won't
Super
make
Bowl.
any of well, okay. So at least that'll be after the Super Bowl. That's a good little follow-up for them. But next year on this list, there will be no There will be no politics things.
That's right.
Well, maybe the inauguration, I guess.
Sure.
And,
okay. Yeah.
And then there will be no Olympics either. So wide open for the NFL.
Yeah.
You could set a record. 97% of all things watched were NFL games.
Jags Titans can still find a way in there next year.
I'm trying to find out. So what's the most innocuous game to make this?
Right. That's a good thing. Yeah.
So
if you can find that.
NFL regional window week 13, Steelers Bengals, 17 million people. It was in the top 100 of most watched things. NFL regional window week 10, Steelers Washington football team, 17 million people watched it.
17 million people watched Steelers Commanders.
17 million people watched an Eagles Bucks game in the regular season, week 4.
Week 4? Week 4 is always that point of the year where we're like, I don't know. Or I think the Bucks might be good. I think they might be
busy.
terrible.
I got to go to the pumpkin patch.
Yeah.
Nope. Steelers Bucks. All right. We'll be back. 1 o'clock hour still to come. We'll talk about the hoops coming up this weekend and plenty more on 1620 The Zone.
He gives you the latest sports news, interviews, and life-changing commentary with a smile on his face. Because he wears those ticklish underpants.
Let's get back to the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
Happy birthday to Doug McDermott. Dougie McBuckets is 33 today. Happy birthday, Doug. Me and Doug were born in the same year, I guess. I guess that makes sense. We were in the same high school graduating class.
That will continue. I was in the same high school class as LeBron.
Whoa. I prefer Doug.
I did not enjoy the celebration of LeBron this past week.
What's LeBron been up to?
He's turning 40.
Oh, there was a lot of LeBron.
It's not fun.
A lot of LeBron celebration.
Mm-hmm. 33 years old for number 3.
They made it. They even did like a 20-second bit on SportsCenter about how his other kid committed to Arizona.
Yeah, I got a
does Arizona
push notification about it.
You got to shut those off.
Yeah.
Does Arizona know about this?
Arizona didn't seem to be bragging.
They were like on SportsCenter. They were like, he committed over, because I watch SportsCenter, but it's just on and I'm doing work.
Sure.
But then it starts repeating. And I'm like, all right, I have to pay attention to this. And they were like, yeah, he committed to Arizona over Duquesne and Ohio State. And I go, no, he didn't.
I don't believe you.
Also, another thing I learned on SportsCenter last night. Have you heard about this Jimmy Butler guy?
He's morphed into actually emo Jimmy Butler.
He's really not happy.
No.
He goes, I want to get my joy back.
My smile.
I want to get my joy back from basketball. And the follow-up question was like, well, do you think you could get your joy back here? And he's like, no.
No, I do not.
And then they brought in Sham Sharania.
Yeah,
and then he was
guy's everywhere.
Yeah, and he was like, I have sources. And like, everyone could see that. He just said it out loud. I want to be traded.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's not going to get traded.
That's not a.
This is what happens in the NBA. When people ask to get traded, they get traded. Otherwise, they're malcontents and they just sit.
But Pat Riley has said they're not trading.
They're trading.
Which means they're absolutely not trading.
No, they're 100% trading him.
So my wife came into the basement last night.
My wife!
And she said, honey, did they put Bronny down? And I go,
what do you mean by that?
Excuse me? What? She goes,
no, he's alive. He's alive, sweetie.
LeBron's son, Bronny, right? That's his name?
Yes.
Yeah, that's what people call him. Yeah.
Like put him down in the minor leagues.
Did they put him down?
Yeah, they put him down.
No, he's not a dog. They didn't kill him. They sent him down to the
Send him down. Yes. Send him down.
She goes, oh, okay. You can tell that story on the air. That'll be funny. And I didn't think it would come up, and here we are.
Yeah, I didn't think we'd talk about LeBron today either, but here we are.
Yeah.
Also, breaking news.
Oh, do you want the sounder? We have one.
This is very important.
Oh, okay.
Yes. Hit it. It is the off season. So what happens in the off season? Everybody changes conferences. Here's from Brett McMurphy.
Hi, Brett.
Northern Illinois.
The team that beat Notre Dame.
Expected to accept an offer to join the Mountain West as a football-only member in 2026, according to industry sources. This is from Brett McMurphy.
So I'm fine with
so the Mountain West will now consist. So the Mountain West had to do this because they had to get their 8th team to be officially recognized as a real conference.
Yes.
So let me make sure I can get this straight real quick.
There's no way you can.
This is no Google. I'm going for it. Are you ready?
Yeah, sure, I guess.
Do you have the answer key?
No, but I'm pulling it up.
All right. Oregon State, Washington State. This is, no. This is all the teams that didn't go to the Pac-12. So hold on, let me do the Pac-12 first. All right. So the Pac-12, Oregon State, Washington State, Fresno State, Colorado State, Utah State, and there's definitely more states because they're all states. It's all
they are all state. They all end in state.
Yeah. San Jose State? No, they say the Mountain West.
correct that they stayed in the Mountain West.
UNLV reaffirmed its commitment to the Mountain West. They're not going to. They're staying in the Mountain West.
I believe that's correct.
Yep, that is correct. Who are the two Pac-12s that I was missing? I know I'm missing at least two.
Boise State, Colorado State, Fresno State, San Diego State, Utah
Didn't get
State.
them. Did get them. All right, I missed San Diego State and Utah.
Okay.
Boise State. Okay, so then that means the Mountain West has UNLV. Yes.
Yeah.
I'm right about that. San Jose State.
Yes.
Northern Illinois now, apparently.
Uh-huh.
Somebody else stayed, and it was mildly surprising. I get to 3 on the Mountain West. Never mind.
UNLV, Air Force, New Mexico, Nevada, Wyoming, San Jose State, Hawaii, UTEP, Northern Illinois. Now, I'm okay with these schools bouncing around. Wherever you want to go, that's fine. Like, you and John Bishop are like, oh, this is the death of college sports. Like, I don't care.
You should care more, Josh.
Find a place to play and play there.
No, they have a place to play. It's the MAC.
I agree. It doesn't make any sense, but sure, follow the money. Whatever.
This is
you
stupid.
Can't be one conference for everything else and then another for football.
Oh, you can't? Ask Gonzaga.
Just join one.
Isn't Gonzaga going to be a basketball-only Pac-12?
That does ring a bell. Yes.
I remember they were trying to go to the Big East.
Yeah, that's right.
Or somebody was saying that anyway. Yeah.
That's when I get confused.
Really? That's where you draw the line?
Yeah. Stick to sports.
I disagree.
All sports.
I disagree, Josh. I draw the line every single time anything like this happens. I don't think anybody should. I think, well, actually what should happen, we should just hit the reset button and revert to original conferences on everything. That would be great. And then make it so nobody could ever change conferences again.
Lock them in?
Yes.
The ACC tried that.
I hate
horribly.
I hate conference realignment. I hated it when Nebraska was among the first to do it. I was like, this is so weird.
Trendsetter.
And it's been 15 years and it's still weird. Still weird.
And we've got a baseball title to show for it.
They did win a baseball title.
And the best
they also
volleyball conference in America.
They won a baseball regular season and they won a baseball tournament, although they did those in separate years. They won some volleyball stuff for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing in football. One pinstripe bowl. One conference title game appearance. That was bad. We don't talk about that one.
Try not to.
This is stupid. Northern Illinois is in the Mountain West. Congratulations to them. What a great move. I imagine this will help recruiting immensely. God, they must have gotten a sweet deal. For a school like that to have a travel budget like that, I mean, that's going to be nuts.
Mount West was probably pretty desperate. Man, we need that one team, and we kind of need it now.
Got to pay for your travel, the whole thing. I mean, it's hard for non-football teams in the Big Ten to take their entire operation out west for what would be a week at a time, right? Like Nebraska women just did it this past weekend. They played USC and UCLA, went to Disneyland in between, and got beat twice. But they were gone over, right after Christmas for the entire week. It's a big undertaking for a women's basketball team.
Sure.
With a limited budget.
Look forward to all these football schools flying into Chicago and then getting on a bus and driving for an hour.
To DeKalb?
Yeah.
It's more than an hour.
It's an hour 15. I just looked it up.
Oh, I always feel like when I get to DeKalb and I make that drive, I haven't made the drive to Chicago in several years now, but I always feel like when I get to DeKalb, it's like, I'm done.
I would like this to end now.
This needs to be over. How have I been in Illinois for 3 hours and I'm still not there? This is sick.
It's such a wide state.
It's disgusting.
Deceptively wide.
A drive that Matt McMaster, young Matt, could tell you about intimately. He could probably tell you about the world's largest truck stop a lot too.
Oh, yeah.
But he could. All right. Basketball for this weekend.
Hoops.
Cam Jones, Stevie Mitchell, David Joplin. One of these guys going to leave. Close the yearbook, Marquette. What's up with these guys? They've been in college for 40 years. I'm sure they're saying the same thing about Ryan Kalkbrenner.
Mm-hmm. And that's okay.
But when did they leave? They're all listed as seniors, but does that mean anything these days? I don't know.
Not much.
I'd like Cam Jones to leave.
You can go now.
Although he is butting into one of the best players in the country at this point. Marquette is very good. Creighton is in for quite the challenge this evening.
I mean, they're like what, number 8?
Are they? I don't know what the AP basketball poll looks like these days.
Yeah, they're 8th.
If our local teams aren't in it, I'm not paying attention.
That's right.
To the AP basketball poll. According to the spreads of tonight's basketball affairs, the Blue Jays are 9.5-point underdogs. According to my little baby tiny KenPom,
what's your little KenPom thing you say?
The Blue Jays will lose by 11 points.
Oh, that's more than 9.5.
Yeah, it is. I think Creighton needs to have a good first 10 minutes. I'd even settle for a good first 5 minutes. It feels like when they go up there, they're like the crowd's on them, and they're kind of just getting hammered for the first like 2 segments of the game.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, boy, I don't know how they're going to do this. I'm not sure how they're going to climb out of that hole. Bring some energy, make some shots, stay
in the fight, get the home crowd out of it for a couple minutes.
That would be sweet. Yeah. That would be sweet. This is a needle mover for the Jays.
Meter mover.
Needle mover,
Your branding is meter mover.
You're right. I did say that.
Yeah.
Okay, meter. This is a meter mover for the Jays.
McDermott meter mover.
So it's a big game, but I don't know. This feels like a tough one.
Oh, you very rarely are this out on like a 1-game sample size like this. Like, granted, it's a tough.
Did we not talk before the Alabama game?
You weren't this downtrodden about it.
No, I'm not downtrodden. They had a nice win on Tuesday.
They did.
I'm not downtrodden.
Okay.
Don't put it on the internet that I'm downtrodden. I just don't. I don't like their chance.
It's a tall task.
It's a tall task. It's a tall task. Maybe you can get Marquette at home.
Well, yeah, and that's what you kind of. I mean,
that's the roadmap, Josh.
Right. You want to kind of. Okay, what can we find out about them tonight that we can use next time in our place where everyone dies?
Not just number 1 teams.
That's right.
Joe in Vegas writes in.
Hi, Joe.
Oh my God, Creighton sucks. When does spring football start? Spring football is not for several months.
Spring football?
Yeah, really, Joe?
Really?
You're interested in spring football?
Really? Yellow jerseys and shorts? Yeah. I love shorts. Don't get me wrong.
I can't wait to not talk about spring football.
Yeah, we so often talk about spring football.
Yeah, we're not talking about spring football. Moratorium on football during spring. What? Because we talk about football every day on the show. What if we just shut it off for 2 weeks? That'd probably be bad for us.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah. But it's March. There's the big tournament. People love the big tournament.
You can hear coverage of it on Westwood One right here on 1620 The Zone.
What if I talked about Nebraska instead? Would that make Joe happier?
Ooh, they got a big one.
If I talked about Nebraska basketball.
They got a meter mover.
That is a big game. That is a big game, folks. And guess what? In honor of them having a big game, I have created the Nebraska. Josh, I was going to hit it. The Nebraska basketball roadmap.
Oh, look at this.
The roadmap to March. It's black. Because AC/DC rules. They're back in black. There you see their wins, their losses. They're 1-1 in the Big Ten right now. They bludgeoned sorry-ass Indiana at home, and they got smoked by Michigan State. People forget. That was a long time ago.
That was a roadie.
Here's how the Big Ten sort of shapes out. It looks like UCLA. I was watching Illinois beat the crap out of Oregon last night. Illinois might be the Big Ten's best offering at this point.
Sure seems that way, doesn't it?
Nebraska just so happens to get them at home. Coming up this year.
Unbalanced schedule.
UCLA, this game is a meter mover.
It's a lot of meter movers.
You only get 3 meter movers at home. Ooh. UCLA, Michigan, and Illinois. I don't know how that Michigan one's going to hold up. They might be okay. But Illinois and UCLA are both very good. The bottom of the conference is Rutgers, Washington, Minnesota, USC. Those teams are kind of in there. Even though Washington beat Maryland last night, might be a challenge to travel to Washington. So that road game against Washington that's up there right now, that might not be like, hey, our life is depending on this. It might not look good if you lose it, but maybe excusable because it's going to happen to some teams. They're like, what? I have to go to Washington on a Tuesday? This sucks. And Nebraska has to go to Washington on a Wednesday.
Same thing.
Yeah. Tuesday and Wednesday are the same. Poll question. So there's that. There's a couple home games that you need to have against Ohio State, Iowa. Maryland would be nice to have at home. And then there's the road steals category, just as there is for the Jays. If you could grab one or two of those, Iowa, Purdue, Wisconsin, Penn State, the committee will look favorably upon you in March. But this is an important game tomorrow for the Blue Jays and the Huskers. But I meant to say the Huskers first. Sorry.
Blue Jays' important one is tonight.
People forget that.
That's right.
I thought all week that this game was at 6:00.
Well, that's when shoot-around begins, yeah.
That's probably why I thought that. Yeah. Thank you.
You wouldn't miss a second.
Probably why I thought that. Texter writes in from the 402, Maryland is in Hurts if you lose and meter mover. That's right.
I saw that.
Home game, road game.
I had no idea. And look,
if you win on the road against a top 30, 35-ish team, that's a meter mover because it could be a quad one.
That was my question. I didn't know from that graphic if Maryland was good or not.
I don't know either, but this is how they rank the Big Ten this early in the season. Everybody's in the 25 to 40 range.
A little bit of a log jam right now.
Yeah.
Who has a good record because of their crappy non-con?
Everyone.
And who's actually good?
I don't know. We don't have a definitive answer to that question.
I'm ready to call Illinois good.
Okay. You like how they were splashing all those threes last night?
Yeah.
They smoked Oregon. All right. There's your roadmap. There you go. Equal time. Back after this on 1620 The Zone. If you are the Buffalo Bills, would you like to see Joe Burrow in the first round of the NFL playoffs?
No.
If you are anyone, anywhere, would you like to see Joe Burrow in the first round of the NFL playoffs?
I mean, me on my couch, yes, but if I'm in the NFL, no, absolutely not.
Yeah.
Keep them out at all costs.
So Cincinnati, so hot right now, needs to win against Pittsburgh and have Miami and Denver both lose this weekend. And if they do that, if that happens, then we're getting a Buffalo-Cincinnati first-round wildcard game, which is sick. I'm rooting for it personally.
So, okay. Go over the scenario again, but slowly.
So Cincinnati needs to beat Pittsburgh
Okay.
to move to 9-8.
That I think that's the hardest part of the three that they need.
Denver needs to lose to backups at Kansas City.
Yeah, that's tough. Don't get me wrong.
And Miami needs to lose to the Jets.
Miami is not playing Tua, most likely.
But they care.
They do
and the
care
Jets don't.
Miami
Aaron
can get
Rodgers
in, yeah.
may be throwing the game. He might be point shaven.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Wow, I would do that if I was Aaron Rodgers, actually.
It's like, I don't really care about Miami, but I kind of want to watch Joe Burrow next week. So, yeah, that is that'll be an interesting, and we'll learn whether it has an opportunity to happen tomorrow.
Right.
Tomorrow evening. That is the 7:00 game tomorrow.
On 1620 The Zone.
Browns Ravens. So we talked about the point spread yesterday. So 20-point spread for Baltimore right now. I've seen it a little higher even.
Yeah.
I just quick kind of half-assed internet research, as Bill Simmons would call it. It's like a top 10 biggest spread in NFL history.
I saw it was an Instagram post, so I don't know if it was real
Once
or not.
again, half-assed internet research.
Hey, it'd be the biggest upset since like 1964 or something.
It'd be interesting. It'd be the biggest upset. Yeah.
And
I just wanted to
graphic.
see the biggest point spreads.
Yeah, well, that's what it was determining as upset. It had the graphic of the sports book.
So, largest point spread in the last 20 years. There was a Jags-Broncos game in 2013 where the Broncos were 26.5-point favorites.
Wow.
And the Jags covered. They did not win. There has been nobody in these 20. Let's see. I have 25 games up from the last 20 years. None of the top 25 won. And that goes all the way up to 18 points on the spread, which you wouldn't expect them to win. But many of them covered.
Okay.
I could see the Browns covering.
Sure, you're in a locker room. You're like, hey, it's the last game of the year. We're playing for pride. They think
the Ravens aren't really playing for anything.
Yeah.
It's sort of baffling how the number is that big, to be honest with you. But the Browns do suck.
They do, famously.
Yeah. And then we went through our grunting and our scenarios yesterday, but a couple more of note. Sunday, Chiefs and Broncos has a lot of intrigue to it. The Broncos are up to 10.5-point favorites at this point because the Chiefs have just gradually said over the last couple of days that nobody's playing, and then really nobody's playing at the end of the week. So has the potential for super big embarrassment for Denver, which is awesome.
Hilarious.
Love that. And then this all leads to our beautiful, beautiful baby boy on Sunday night.
Oh, put the kid to bed early. We're watching Vikings-Lions.
Vikings-Lions is the let me find the information on this again. It is the only game in NFL history that included two teams with 14 wins.
I heard that in the commercial for the game on NBC.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like never before have two teams won this much and met on the field.
28 combined wins between these two teams are the most ever in a regular season game.
Wow.
It's actually the first ever regular season meeting of 13 win teams, and they have 14 wins.
And one of them is going to be on the road for the playoffs.
The loser will be the first ever 14-win wild card team. And this is the third time ever that two teams meeting in the final week of the regular season with directly the number one seed on the line ever. First time since 1993. 30 plus years since we've had a scenario that looked like this. And really, you could argue that this is, I mean, I don't know what you would call biggest, but you could argue this is the biggest game in NFL regular season history.
It's going to do a monster number for NBC.
Yeah. Yes. And the Vikings and the Lions aren't like super big brands. You know, those are regional-ish Midwest fan bases, right? But I mean, there's just I wonder what would do, like, obviously there's two really good teams. Want to find out who the better one is, but it almost feels like, well, the loser still gets the consolation of being the 5 seed in the playoffs, and feels like they're in good shape to win a game on the road, but you never know. There's a ton on the line. Don't get me wrong, but it's not like it's totally life or death. And I can't wait. I cannot wait for this.
We broached this yesterday. It's going to be super easy on the telecast. The winner is the 1 seed. The loser plays at the Rams or the NFC South champion, whoever.
Likely the NFC South champion.
But so they'll be able to say exactly where everybody's going. Plug and play.
Yep. Total 55.5. That is a large NFL number, largest of the week by far. And honestly, it feels like an over to me.
Yeah, it felt low.
I mean, it's a really big number for the NFL.
Both teams will be slinging it though.
Oh yeah,
putting it on the line.
Will
Dan Campbell go for it in a situation where he shouldn't?
Yes. Will Dan Campbell go for it? Yes. Will Dan Campbell go for it in a situation? Yes. Will Dan Campbell go for it in a situation where he shouldn't? Absolutely. And I will love it every time.
Oh yeah.
This is my favorite part of watching the NFL and not having a rooting interest. It's just beautiful because we just get to sit back and say, "Wow, football." That's me. That'll be me on Sunday night. Wow, football.
Wow, football.
Wow, football. Indeed. Can't wait for the NFL this weekend. There are college games tonight. Yes,
that's right. One at 3:00. One at 6:30.
What's the 3:00 game?
The First Responders Bowl.
Oh, who's in that?
North Texas and Texas State, obviously.
Really? Couple 6-win group of 5 teams.
That's right.
Ouch.
Got the Bahamas Bowl tomorrow.
Oh, really? Tomorrow's the Bahamas Bowl?
That's right.
10 a.m. Cool. Is there anything else is that the last non-playoff game?
There are 3 bowl games tonight and tomorrow.
Right. But is tomorrow the Bahamas Bowl the last non-playoff game?
Yes.
Wow. Say goodbye to sicko college football tomorrow morning with Buffalo and Libs.
The Libs are going to the Bahamas.
How about that? Classic Lib move. All right, that's a look ahead of your weekend. Is there any predictions that you want to have? Any takes that you want to make? Will we be buried in snow on Monday morning?
No, we will not.
Okay. Will Mount Happer have begun?
A little bit, because the truck who plows our parking lot will create a little base.
So you think we're going to be dealing with a little bit?
A little base. Couple inches.
Okay. Couple inches?
Yeah.
I'm not ready for that.
Well, get ready.
It's not time. It's not time.
I would agree.
Sal writes in.
Hi, Sal.
About the NFL. Grow up and pick a team, Connor. We've been through this many times. Nothing's going to stick at this point.
Yeah.
Nothing's going to stick.
At your age, if you haven't yet.
It's too late.
No.
I did a whole show about it with Stibbs that one day in several years ago. 5 years ago, maybe more. I don't know.
Is there one player you just really love watching right now?
No, I don't root like that.
Yeah,
That's not.
That's why I asked the question. I was like, I don't think he does.
I'm not a Gen Z baby. I don't root for players. I still like the sport. Like, why can't I just love it for the love of the game? Why can't I just watch it for the love of the game?
It's so
I love watching the
professional
NFL.
radio guy of you.
But I'm more like watching the NFL on Sundays than I do in the individual windows. Now, I appreciate being able to watch like a full football game and the ebbs and flows of it, but there's nothing better than Sunday Red Zone. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing.
Wait till they jam those commercials in there next season.
I'm gonna get sad.
Mm-hmm.
It takes a lot out of me when I hear Scott Hansen now say 7 hours of red zone football.
Mm-hmm.
It's been that way for the last 2
He's
weeks.
Preparing you all mentally for next season, and you're still all going to bitch about it.
Yeah, it's bad. Sal follows up and says, got to have some skin in the game. Or I imagine a prominent Husker gets drafted and you follow them to a team. No, I don't do that either. Like I've always liked watching Levante and Amir. And
Amir might not play this weekend, guys.
Sad. He's had a great year.
Mm-hmm.
No, nothing's going to do it at this point. I don't know. Maybe if I had like a son and he goes to the NFL, I'd root for that team.
Gambling causes you to root.
I love gambling. That is
things.
correct. That is definitely correct. Yep. Alex, Connor, do you hope everyone just has fun? Yes.
Okay.
Or I hope everyone has a horrible time, a really bad time. I like laughing at the NFL.
Do you have teams that you hate?
Not hate, but like if a team, if I consider a team to be sort of like full of itself, you know, like do we have a Clippers of the NFL? Maybe like the Eagles. I don't like the Eagles.
Okay.
I can't do that. The Chiefs maybe a little bit, but I don't hate the Chiefs.
Whoa.
All right, I respect them.
That was almost disrespect.
All right, back after this with the polls. We'll tell you what to watch on 1620 The Zone. All right, so the polls at Happer Show on the J-Tech Construction Zone Twitter feed. We had 1, 2, 3, 4 today. It's a good number.
Yeah.
Take 4.
Still taking those reps. We're going to up them later.
I want to have, I dream of an 11 poll show one day. Like we just everything is a poll, but we don't force it. It just comes to us naturally. Like the game is just moving real slow for us that day. We're just in the zone and we pump out 11 polls.
I think 11 was the record for a really long time, and then one day we hit 14.
We hit 14 bowls in a show?
I think so.
All right, I want more. I want a record this year. Do you love a big database?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my. Do I? Sports Reference, Baseball Reference, Wikipedia.
Which many people pay for, apparently.
Yeah, we received messages from various people throughout the show. It's like, I pay him. It's like, well, I guess I'm the bad guy then.
Nick did that one time.
62% say yes, they love a big database. Not nearly enough. Is geologist in the top half of dignified professions?
Oh, yeah.
What's in the top half?
Sure.
54% say no.
Whoa! Haters.
Yeah, come on. Top half, guys. It's a lot of crap out there. Are there any doctors that listen to our show?
I mean, the odds say yes.
We have yet to
imagine,
hear from any doctors who claim that they listen to our show. I'll vote no. 69%, 68 down to now say no. Sorry.
Almost nice.
And finally, are Tuesday and Wednesday the same thing?
Many people are telling us no, but come on, they are.
They're saying no?
Yeah.
So Travis says Tuesday is easily the most worthless day of the week. At least Wednesday is the halfway point. Now, I agree with the first point. Tuesday sucks. Wednesday is not much better.
Right. Big picture.
I'm going to say yes because I want to juice the numbers a little bit. 54% say no.
Okay.
Tuesday and Wednesday are not the same, but maybe
early returns.
It's close, so I'm satisfied with that. All right, those are the polls. What are we watching?
We're watching the NFL this weekend. Browns and Ravens, 3:30 tomorrow on ESPN and ABC. Also here on 1620 The Zone. Followed immediately by Bengals, Steelers in Pittsburgh. Bills, Patriots is our noon game on CBS. Followed by Chiefs, Broncos. Fox doubleheader is Bears, Packers, and then Dolphins, Jets.
Hell yeah.
Okay. And then that mega Sunday night game, Vikings, Lions, 7 o'clock Sunday on NBC and 1620 The Zone. College football bowl games get started in an hour. First Responders Bowl, North Texas, Texas State. Duke's Mayo Bowl at 6:30 tonight, Minnesota versus Virginia Tech on ESPN. Bahamas Bowl tomorrow morning on ESPN, Buffalo versus Liberty. Tonight, 8 o'clock on FS1, Creighton at number 8, Marquette. Coverage begins on 1620 The Zone at 6 o'clock. John Bishop takes over at 7:30. Iowa, Wisconsin, 6 o'clock on FS1 tonight. Number 6, Florida. Number 10, Kentucky, 10 a.m. tomorrow, ESPN.
What?
Number 23, Arkansas at number 1, Tennessee, noon tomorrow on ESPN. Number 25, Baylor at number 3, Iowa State, 1 o'clock tomorrow on CBS. At that same time on Big Fox, Nebraska hosts number 15, UCLA. And SEC Network, 5 o'clock tomorrow. Bama, number 5 in the country, hosts SEC rival Oklahoma, who's ranked 12th. Women's game, number 1 UCLA at Indiana, 11 a.m. tomorrow on Big Fox. Notre Dame, UNC, noon tomorrow on ESPN. Iowa, ranked 23rd, hosts number 8 Maryland at 5 o'clock Sunday on BTN. I'm sorry, all 3 of those women's games are Sunday. Free preview weekend on Apple TV, Connor.
For what sport?
All of their entertainment offerings. It's all free.
Oh, okay.
This weekend.
Well, I'm still banking my my 3 months free for when that Ben Stiller show comes back.
Well, that is why I bring up the free preview weekend, because 1 week from today, Severance season 2
there you go
premieres, so you can binge the first season this weekend. And Sunday night, CBS, 7 o'clock, the 82nd annual Golden Globe Awards. Nikki Glazer hosts the award show that allows its attendees to drink alcohol and celebrates the best in movies and television on the same night.
Thanks, Josh.
Thank you, Connor.
That's what we're watching this weekend. Enjoy it. I just thought about when they do the Sunday Night Football intro on Sunday night, and they have the aerial shot of the stadium, and they go, da, 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 ba, 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 ba. And I got real fired up.
Yeah.
Can't wait. All right, that's it for us today. If you missed anything, 1620thezone.com is where you can find it. The crossover is next.